Where did this come from? You? Oh, I didn't know. I found it. Okay.
I just want, I mean, I can go. No, fine, you have to. Oh, no, I know.
Would this be is this about prayer? What is
No.
this?
Where's that one? Was it all on one page there?
Yes, I printed two on one.
I didn't see anything about prayer.
That has nothing to do with that.
Madam Mayor, it's 6:06 and we are live.
Great. Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this regular City Commission meeting of the City of Lake Worth Beach, Florida, Tuesday, February 17th, 2026. May I have the roll call, please?
Mayor Betty Resch,
Here.
Vice Mayor Sarah Maliga,
Present.
Commissioner Christopher McVoy,
Here.
Commissioner Mimi May,
Present.
Commissioner Anthony Segrich.
Present.
Thank you very much. Commissioner May will lead the moment of silence and Mr. Segrich will lead the pledge.
All righty.
Oh,
You can face the flag while we.
I don't know.
No, I'm not going to be long. So if you want to turn around, you can. I just wanted to remind us that we're all here trying to do the best that we can, and we're here hopefully because our goal is to serve the city of Lake Worth Beach, whether we are employees, whether we are citizens, whether we are electeds, and we choose to do this work. We almost volunteer to do this work. And we do it because we love this city and we want to make it a better place. Now, we may not agree on the way to get there, but I want to remind us all that we all love this city and we all want it to be the best it can be. And let's just kind of keep that underlying message in our hearts tonight. Amen.
Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well done. Are there any additions, deletions, or reordering? Mr. McBoy, Mr. Segrich. Mr. McBoy?
I was just going to, given that the street painting festival is upon us this weekend, I was looking for consensus from my colleagues to make a emergency addition to discuss a possible solution to assist downtown businesses prior to the festival. And I can provide a little more if you want, but
I don't even, we have staff doing all that. Have you talked to them?
no, it would be something that we would have to do something about. So
Okay, Mr. Segrich, Mr. Segrich? I just want to get everybody's.
Okay. Yeah. I wanted to add a discussion about the trees installed downtown.
I think that'll come up under commissioner comments and.
I've received
Yeah,
a large number of complaints, and I think that it's something that requires us to take action, not just comment on.
Well, do I have consensus for Mr. What do you want to do?
So a number of businesses use outdoor chairs and tables. And right now it is quite complicated to do that. What has been suggested by some of the businesses is that if these are small, like within the swing distance of their front doors that open out, so roughly 3.5 feet, could we make an allowance for the street painting festival time for businesses just to be able to do that?
Do what?
Use tables small enough to fit within that 3.5.
You mean
feet.
businesses that don't have a table now? Outdoors?
Yes, that's right.
I'm just trying to get it.
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
And so my question is, can we help businesses out, given that street painting festival it's a mixed thing for businesses. It helps some, it doesn't help some. But being able to have outdoor tables, and I know that we have a whole procedure and so on,
Yeah.
but for small amounts of it within that distance that is already needed for opening and shutting doors, could we, and so I don't mean to discuss it now, but could we add that as a brief discussion somewhere during the meeting?
anybody, any feedback on that one? I mean, I think we have staff I mean, they've been working really hard. I think if you have an idea, you can certainly call Stu, call Tiana, call Dexter and talk to them about it. But I don't think that's something we have a voice in really. I mean,
It's a
It's-
policy decision,
Well,
so it's
all right,
us.
well, all right. Is there any desire to add that to the agenda tonight?
I think that,
Oh, sorry.
thank you. I think that businesses have the ample opportunity. Somebody who's out of business downtown, we know that street painting's coming. And if you start letting people put out bistro tables in front of their swing door that only has a 3 or 5 foot radius, everyone's going to put out stuff and then there's zero organization. And that is not what we want this year. We had that last year. Staff has been working really hard.
Yeah.
You know, we don't need trip hazards. The sidewalk that we do have available, people need to be on the sidewalk because the streets are being painted. So I think that it's part of keeping everything organized.
Yeah, I think that I agree with you. There's been plenty I mean, they've had a year to talk about it. Anybody else? About that one?
I would tend to agree with Commissioner Malega. You know, I've worked with several businesses downtown to help accommodate things like parking and other stuff. I mean, it's been a long time coming.
Okay, so I sense there's no consensus to do that. Please talk to Jack, please see what you can do, not the week before the festival. 4 days before, yeah, not even a week.
It was
Right.
raised to me at this point.
Okay, well, thank you. Okay, Mr. Segrich,
I received numerous complaints
We
from
all have.
business owners, residents, on what was installed in the downtown. Briefly, I spoke with 2 arborists and 4 landscape companies, and all of them agreed that the wrong form tree was purchased and installed. And that it will take, I had originally estimated 5 to 6 years before they have a usable canopy. 2 of the arborists said it could be 10 to 15 years. So I wanted to discuss what we would like to do about said issue.
well, is there any consensus to add that to the agenda?
I think that's reasonable.
Ms. Malega, Ms. May? I mean, we've talked about this endlessly. We are all a little surprised at the appearance of them.
And we got an email from staff saying what still
What's-
needed to be done. The
right.
installation is not complete. So,
So
I
I mean,
not an
maybe
arborist,
add
I
an
don't claim to be
agenda
one.
for a March meeting? I mean, they're not going anywhere. They're going to grow slowly.
I
Well,
think-
the arborists are saying that the kind of pruning that's required would actually damage, if not almost kill the tree.
Well, I understand what you're saying. I mean, but in terms of adding something like that, it's not, I mean, the trees will be there in 2 weeks. It's not like, I mean, I think we can certainly add it as an agenda item.
Well,
And it-
I was going to suggest that I think that this installation company should have known better and that we ask for a refund.
Well, that's a whole, we're not going to do that to staff. We're not going to give that to staff tonight. And that's something.
Well, that's what I'm asking my colleagues. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, that's
we
my
have a
opinion.
mistake. I feel that we can correct it rather easily. And I'm asking if there's consensus among my colleagues to correct said mistake.
There is consensus for me.
Well, I think we can certainly discuss it, but I'd like to add it as give staff time to prepare and put on the next agenda or we have 3 meetings coming up in 3 weeks.
And maybe have legal look at the contract to see
Yeah.
what recourse we have.
Right.
That I would like to know
Yeah.
before we discuss it.
I certainly, it is certainly a discussion topic because everybody's talking about it. No argument there, but tonight,
I also don't think we need to stop the middle of this install again 4 days before street painting.
right.
Let's finish the install when then we can decide what we want to do.
I must say that's not very strong logic. If you see that you have a problem, why would you continue going forward? And Commissioner Segrich has actually done the research and talked to some other professionals. And it seems foolish to throw good money after bad and continue putting a problem. It's going to cost to get them back out or whatever
Well,
the solution is. So
we
I
can-
would say it's reasonable to talk about it.
Okay. Ms. May, do you want to add this to agenda tonight? Or Ms. Malega?
No.
No. Okay. So there's no consensus for either one of those. So we'll talk to staff and put it on so we have any deletions or reordering? I hear none. Thank you very much. Okay, we are now at public participation of non-agenda items and the consent agenda. Do I have any blue cards? I have no doubt I do. Oh, God, it's cold. Thank you. Todd Townsend, you're up here. Might as well, you're here. I didn't mean to shock you, Todd, but
Hi, Todd Townsend, 502 South J Street. Sounds like you can hear me.
You have to
I'm sorry,
turn-
the mic's not on.
The mic is on now. Can you still hear me? So,
Now I can hear you.
thank you. So Todd Townsend, 502 South J Street. I guess my time starts right now. Concerning the downtown trees. These new downtown woolly trees should be removed immediately for the following reasons. They're wide at the bottom, diminishing open view and sidewalk space. They create blind spots for drivers. Sometimes cars play bumper pool out there. A driver could choose to turn into a curb rather than to bump around in the lane. Someone could be standing behind one of those trees, waiting to cross in an irregular crossing, or they could be standing there in the unseen while the unseen driver soaks up. They could be standing unseen by the driver, soaking up the sliver of shade that those trees provide, and they could get clipped like that. These are hedge type trees or barrier trees. As they stand, they are drastic eye pokers for children and animals and anybody not looking. Eye pokers. All right. I spend a lot of time out in the woods and I know. Another thing, what about the poor birds? For example, a startled group of birds hanging out in the tree at eye level, close to people. It just sounds regrettable. You know, a whole group of birds getting startled like that. I mean, like, whoa, man, hey, look out, you know? Example B, parent birds. One night a bird might build a nest in there. The next night they might lay their eggs. And the third day they're going to be out there dive bombing people in protection of their future offspring. Last example, the predatory osprey could fly in, slam into the holy tree, going after a pigeon it might find. They eat fish. Well, they're scavengers also, though. Okay, so I could just drop that. I'll just drop that. We'll leave them out. A hawk could, thank you. A hawk could come flying into these holy trees at eye level, land in there, massacre a pigeon. It goes flying out. The guts and the feathers are flying everywhere, you know. And like Sam is down there playing chess with somebody and just gets splattered with all this stuff. It's not good. Not to mention the unsuspecting visitors that are going to get splashed with all this stuff. This is also not a historic use of this tree in this area. They look sad and overburdened. They should be removed immediately. And so it all goes to, you know, really this idea of this carte blanche that you people want with our money, our property. You know, you want to say where to build and what to build. I say absolutely not. East of A1A, west of A1A. It's bizarre, impetuous, and makes no sense. The people should get to decide what we build and when we build it, how much we're going to spend on it, and everything. That's how you stay in office. You stay in office by saying, I did what the people wanted me to do. So that's it for that. We'll see you in a few minutes.
No doubt. Catherine Kohlmeyer, followed by Daniel Vesson. Mhm. Mhm.
Catherine Kohlmeyer, 503 First Avenue South. Commissioner Segwich held a meeting at the casino, not a city notice meeting, quite recently. First of all, I wondered what the rule is about a non-city notice meeting being held at a city facility. What would the costs be to the city and how were those costs covered? At that meeting, Commissioner Segwich made a presentation with graphics presenting the city as city finances as a dumpster fire. His premise apparently being that only could big development save our failing city. I've got the credit rating for the city from Moody's. In December 25, the general obligation rating went from A1 to AA3, which is in the second tier, very strong. The utilities went from strong A2 to strong A1. I'm not sure that that's called a dumpster fire when we have a strong credit rating. Secondly, I just feel that people say they love our city and they come here and they just want to change it beyond all recognition. Thank you.
Daniel Vasson? You can give me that for non-agenda items?
Yeah.
Pass. Daniel? Followed by Jenny Powell.
I was here about 2 or 3 months. I was here about 2 or 3 months.
Name and address for.
Daniel Vasone, 1 South Lakeside Drive, Gold Coast Towers. There's one for each of you. What you're going to read, not now, but probably later, is a proposed forum for the future landscape of Lake Worth. This has already been sent out to 50 or 60 condo owners in my neighborhood. So I just think it's a good idea to make better plans for the future, long after I'm gone. And some of us here too. In any case, in most cases where there's eminent domain, the public sector takes over private property for the public good. What I see happening here potentially, you don't like it?
No, it's not happening.
What?
That whole, I'm sorry, I shouldn't respond to that.
Okay.
Proposal is not happening.
Okay, then good. I still think whatever's happening, whether there is a referendum vote or not, yes or no, on March 10th, I think that I would like to invite Mr. McBoy and Mr. Segrich to give me their imaginations about what they think Lake Worth should look like. And you know what? I would like to invite all of you, but Mr. McBoy told me about sunshine rules, correct? You can't say anything. And I can't have you both in the same room, and I can't have all of you in the same room. So that's why I will pay the $65 to the library to have each speak. And if it works well, I'll have the rest of you speak as well. I think it's a good idea. I mean, but don't bring all these developers and private investors. Tell me how you would like to see Lake Worth look like. And I'm just going to say this before I go, and I know this is very political. Ice out now.
Jenny Powell? Thank you. Thank you, sir. Jenny Powell, followed by John Lynch.
Jenny Powell, 224 North Palmway. I'm also going to talk about the tree issue, so you all don't have to tonight. Okay, last time I talked about the trees up here, I mentioned that the tree board did approve this. I will say that, and I should have said at the time, that we somewhat approved that under duress. I apologize, Mr. Brown, in advance, but we presented a number of options to Public Works, and all of them were rejected, pretty much. We didn't want palms. We wanted something native. Everything was rejected for the reasons I discussed. It was either drop seeds, flowers, berries. The top was too big, required too much trimming. The roots were too big. They uplifted the sidewalk. There's just a bazillion reasons why we couldn't have any of those trees. Actually, we were going to get palms and Japanese blueberry, but fortunately we sent it back. And the city's consultant, I believe, are the ones who suggested Dahu and Holly. I did immediately object because of the watering. I've been assured that the watering will be dealt with and we'll be keeping tabs on that. Okay, now fast forward to what's happening now. But I want to say too, please don't throw the tree board under the bus over this debacle. I'm not even sure it is a debacle, to be honest with you. I don't know what the specifications say. Were they shrubs? Were they bushes? Were they trees? Were they supposed to be trees? Were they supposed to have a clear trunk? I do have a horticulture degree, so I do know something of what I speak about this. I honestly didn't have the time to pay attention to all the social media chatter, and there was a lot of it. I pulled up tonight and there's a tree right in front of my car. And I had actually wanted to talk to Jamie about maybe waiting to trim until we kind of see what happens, give them a few weeks. That one has been trimmed and it looks good. I was worried that they would be trimming so much off of it that it would damage the integrity of the tree, that it would shock it. It actually probably will shock it some, but it looks to me like only one row or around the trunk, there's maybe 3 or 4 branches that were removed. I didn't get a good close look at because I was running late for the meeting. But anyway, they have been trimmed, or at least some of them have been trimmed. And I don't think it looks bad. The Dahoon holly also is a slow growing tree, medium to slow growing. We are not going to get a good canopy tree out of this, but we knew that going in. There were reasons that we're not going to have a big canopy. We don't want another Dave situation. I mean, I'll be gone by then, but a few of you may still be alive, but I don't want to see a 24-inch diameter oak tree get removed either. So we do have limited options. I think we should exercise some caution and patience. Maybe we want to ask the grower or the people that we bought the tree from, would you give us I don't know if we got any kind of warranty or guarantee, maybe give us another year guarantee to see how it goes. But we are not going to get a canopy tree, a shade canopy tree. I mean, that's
Thank
just
you. That's time.
a nice tree, though, I think. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Lynch, followed by Wade Hitchcock.
Dr. John Lynch, 2802 Lake Osborne Drive. I've been in Lake Worth for 50 years now, and I love Lake Worth. I've only got 2 complaints. Are they ever going to fix the wall around the circle? I mean, you come into Lake Worth, and that wall has been like that for years now. They worked on the circle there. They never replaced the wall. Never fixed the wall. There's a wall there around that circle, and it's an eyesore. And that's when you come in the city and see that. And my next one is the calming bumps, or whatever you want to call those, on 6th Avenue between US 1 and Dixie. I think that's a county road, however. If it's not, we should fix that. They should remove those. First of all, they had trees on there to begin with. There's no trees left. Then they put signs up there, okay? I think there's 1 sign left, okay, on those curbs. Then they put reflectors on there, and most of those reflectors are gone. And if you look at those curbs, every one of them is about black now, because they used to be yellow. Now they're black. I can't believe there hasn't been a lawsuit on Lake Worth for those bumps there, because they're not. And then we've probably got 30 signs telling you these calming areas are coming. And it just makes an eyesore. And that's coming into Lake Worth, okay? And that's the only complaint I've got. And to me, that would be a simple solution. That wall can be fixed very easily. And just get rid of those calming areas. If you want to put a little speed bump there, that's fine. Okay. That's my only thing. Thank you.
Mr. Brown, I did not pay Dr. Lynch to say that. Wade Hitchcock up next. Between Federal and Dixie, they took it in. And Ms. Hitchcock, you get one shot.
Well, this is going to be quick and easy.
Not so easy, but quick.
I was already told I'm spinning my wheels anyways. Wade Hitchcock, 1506, 13th Avenue North. I think, let's just make this quick and easy. I think you guys need to go on a road trip throughout the city and just look at the stuff that's going on, the garbage. The people that talk to me at Lake Worth Beach and they ask me the questions, they're coming in here from other states and they're wondering, well, if you're not working for the city, why are you cleaning up? Well, it has to be cleaned. Who wants to step on glass bottles, dirty diapers, and other hygiene stuff that's left on the beach? It's a bad image for us. And I mean, we just need to have you guys go out there and just look at stuff and say, we need to look into this, this, and this. There's bushes with spots that you can't even see. You have to keep going out and you almost get hit. And that should be code enforcement's job. But I think you guys need to just get one of your electric cars or whatever and go look at stuff and write it down and let's fix it and make the city look better. So people will come back.
Thank you. Ramsey McLeod, followed by Cassandra Hathaway.
Ramsey McLeod, 24 South C Street. I have been to all the town halls held to date, and I feel that referendums number 2 and 3 read more like an RFP to subcontract out the grounds and maintenance division of the Public Works Department versus a clearly worded referendum. The fact that only one con is listed for these referendums is very misleading because, let's face it, if maintenance of infrastructure is needed in a city-owned space, it will need to connect to old infrastructure piping that leads into the surrounding neighborhoods. So are we really fixing a problem or just waiting for it to snowball into a much larger infrastructure project, which apparently we can't afford? I have lived here long enough to have endured the hard times and enjoyed the good times, but I have grown weary of members of the dais often lamenting our financial state while continuing to make decisions that only add to our debt burden. It is time for better fiscally based decisions to be made. For instance, why are you setting aside $500,000 for a new category of employees, park rangers, when you passed an ordinance addressing valet parking concerns, but there's no one to enforce it? There have been no changes made to the schedule of the parking division's employees, nor have any additional employees been hired to address this ongoing concern. This action has provided no relief for residents' complaints about businesses abusing our parking spaces. So what good is it to enact an ordinance and not provide for its enforcement? Mr. Liberty was able to turn our utilities department around such that it is more solvent than it had ever been, and even has a storm fund and a fund to offset the fuel costs that we encounter. Our grid is stronger and better than it ever has been, and our rates are very competitive statewide. So maybe we need to examine how he was able to do this and apply some of those same measures to our Public Works Department. I believe we can make our city more solvent if members of the dais are honest and clear about what our financial situation is and make decisions that are fiscally sound and reasonable and don't add to our burden of debt. I don't feel we need to sacrifice our city-owned spaces in order to achieve this. I have no problem paying for parking if I know that money is going to pave a pothole for my neighbor or go to a fund to provide for road maintenance. I am more than willing to make such contributions to offset our bottom line costs if it leads us to be a more solvent and less likely city that needs to be saved by a wealthy developer who wants to turn us into another Delray Beach. As for referendum number 4, it is the only citizen-led one and addresses the lack of action by members of this dais who only last month entered into a contract with a vendor to begin the search for a city manager after a 2-year wait.
Thank you, Cassandra Holloway. And your little dog too.
It's emotional support.
Yeah.
Sandra.
Yeah, really.
Yes. Everybody always wants. Sandra Hathaway, 914 North B Street. I'll be quick. Obviously, we have a problem, and I sincerely hope that we consider firing whoever was in charge of making the decision, because it's an awful one. And I mean, you don't have to. I have my mom coming into town tomorrow, my cousin, her boyfriend. I can't wait to explain to them how crazy my city is, how frivolously they throw my money in the garbage. I mean, nobody could have planted maybe one tree and checked inside. Maybe we should hold off for a second. No, that never crossed anybody's mind. Okay.
Here.
That's all. I know there's a couple of you with level heads, and thank God for that. But that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Justin McNamara. No, not McNamara. Nakamura. Sorry about that. And you bringing the dog up.
Justin Nakamura, 914 North B Street. Everybody's kind of talked about the trees. That's all I came to talk about too. You've heard most of the same things. Everybody kind of stated all the issues with it. It's blocking view for cars trying to pull out. They're blocking signs for the businesses when you're driving your car down. And the fact that it's like the street painting festival is like one of our busiest times of the year, and this is all going on right before it. So I think they need to be replaced with a better tree, something that you can see under, it's not blocking as much. That's all.
Thank you. Okay, that's the end of any blue cards that I'm missing. I don't think so. Okay. All right. Approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve with one caveat, Miss Melissa?
Yes, Madam Vice President.
Vice President.
I mean, Vice Mayor, sorry.
Pay raise. You can't. Oh, thank you very much for that. On February 3rd, minutes for item under public hearings A, the final action. I had sent an email.
Oh, yes, that's been fixed. We just didn't reprint it.
Okay, so just for the public and those who are sitting up here, the last line under action, it said, medium impact to 101 to 500 people and high impact to more than 501 people, and allowing no more than 12 food shares a year per entity. I asked Melissa to add per your vote because I wasn't here per location.
Per location, right, thank you.
Because that was missing.
Yep.
So with that change, motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
By Commissioner Segrich, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Melissa.
Okay, unfinished business. Lake Worth Community High School Olympic Swimming Pool Concept Discussion. Who wants to lead this discussion? Mr. Brown?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Mr. Brown.
I'm gonna start off with just saying we do have Erica Whitfield in attendance tonight. Kind of like I went into pre-agenda meeting last Friday morning. The mayor and I, obviously, we had that meeting. It's in the backup. December before last, December 24, school district. Superintendent and Commissioner Flores and a lot of other people in attendance. What came out of that was basically they were going to move forward with a concept, so we can kind of see what they're looking at. Obviously, we have some money set aside for a pool. It's tremendously underfunded, but the possibility of moving forward with a joint usage pool with the district, and what they located is A Street, where the current basketball courts and softball field is, right there, just south of 3rd Avenue by the tennis courts and everything. The main thing for tonight's conversation that I wanted to get from all of you is, what are your thoughts on a joint usage pool with the district and in this particular location? Because obviously, when we looked at the open space master plan, there were talks of, the Northwest Fall Fields, like some other location in the city, as well as obviously at the beach. This is not at the beach. So before we get into all the details and start meetings with the district and everything and start talking about, well, how would this work, hours of operation, who's doing the maintenance, annual, all this other stuff that we would have to get into. I just want to see if there's consensus to even start those conversations, because as I mentioned before, you guys are saying, well, it's pool at the beach or nothing. It's a pretty quick conversation. But if this is a possibility, we would just need to know before we put in staff time into this, what your guys' feelings are, if this is something you want us to look into.
Thank you.
A possibility.
I'm going to start. A lunch about a year ago, they had just destroyed their pool. I said, you need a pool. I need a pool. Let's make a pool. So I'm going to go down kind of a list. In terms of location, yes, my heart would love a pool at the beach, but I also am a realistic, practical person. And I know that's just not going to happen at this point. It may be in the future, some benefactor will come and give us a pool. At that point, we can say, high school, keep the pool, right? But right now, this is the only realistic possibility for this. So I think the location, even though it's not at the beach, is really good, because Northwest, it's right in the center. Everybody, all the kids that need to get there can get there. People can get there. There's so from that perspective, the location, I think it's great. There's chatter about, we have to figure out this and who's going to use it and what time and who's going to do. Yes, we have to figure all that out. How we're going to share it when some lady wrote, well, I like to use the pool at noon. Well, we'll have to see if that's possible. But I think today, really, if I understand you, Mr. Brown, is, do we have consensus, just like go forward with seeing how we can work this out, spending staff time to see if there's consensus to go forward. I don't want to get into I don't think tonight is the appropriate time to get into what time should the kids go and what time should the lifeguard go and, where is the handicap parking going to be and all that stuff. That's not tonight. Is my understanding.
That's correct. Those are all details. We obviously haven't even
Lots
had
of details.
conversation. The one thing I did mention was we obviously have just shy of 6 million
Mhm.
allocated toward whatever the pool option would be. And Eric, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you guys had 8.5 million. Eight.
Okay.
So collectively, there'd be basically 14 together.
For a basic pool, we can always look for other, one of the things that there's a lot of children drowning in Florida. And I think maybe, Red Cross or somebody, we can look for other funding for that kind of thing to bring it beyond just the bare bones. But I think that we should continue this discussion. I think that our kids, we need a place to swim. We need a place for our kids to learn how to swim. We need to place our high school, Lake Worth Community High School, oldest high school in Palm Beach County. Those children need a pool. They need to go back into the water. We used to have great swim teams, and the sketchy design that we got has a dive. They can learn how to dive. They can learn how to scuba dive. So my 2 cents is we should go forward with this. And if we can't work out the details, but I'd like to get to yes. That's my final thing. It's easy to get to no, but let's get to yes. Mr. McCoy.
Thank you. I guess I look at it a little bit differently. There's been sort of a tendency to say, well, the color of the pool and whether we stripe the parking lot diagonal or vertical or let people back in or whatever, those are just details. We don't need to consider that at this point. Here's the thing in my thinking on it. If we take our $6 million that we have and commit to this pool jointly with the school, we have just exhausted all option from our own funding to do anything at our beach. And we've had multiple meetings of many of the folks on this commission who made a long list of what things they wanted the pool to do. And it certainly included teaching people to swim, especially kids in the community, but adults also, because there are adults that don't swim. Teaching was certainly considered a goal. But I heard lots of discussion of a gathering place for the community that would bring people together, bring different communities together that would have reasons for people to be there. And there was discussion that might not be just the pool, that might be the deck and what you do with the deck around it. There was certainly a lot of discussion, and there's been a lot of thought in the community that the location of the pool at the beach, which initially you go, well, there's a pretty big pool right there. It's called the ocean. Why do we need a pool there? I think there's a lot of very sensible reasons to have a pool at the beach. People like the idea of going to the ocean, going to the beach. They can't always swim there. My concern about pushing into the details is, in my book, it's pretty much irreversible. If you go forward with the pool there, we have to be realistic with ourselves. We're saying, yeah, okay, we're giving up on a pool at the beach. I think there ought to be community input into that before moving forward. And I think a very important part of it is, suppose that the school district's attorneys say, you know what? The community can use this, but they can only use it X number of hours a day or X number of hours a week, or they have to pay to use it, or there are legal access issues, or who knows what. I think before we make what amounts to an irreversible decision to give up on a pool at the beach, which many people have wanted for a long time, I think we should have some answers to those. We were told at the last time that Ms. Whitfield came, she was going to check with legal and see if we couldn't get some answers on these kind of things. I'm hoping that if there is a presentation today, that we will hear some of those legal results so that we are, as a commission, making an informed decision rather than sort of a knee-jerk decision.
Thank you, Ms. Malega.
Thank you. That's Vice President to you, ma'am.
Empress.
Empress, no, not that.
Vice Empress.
I have to wear the big head thing. No, I can't be Empress. I see it completely different, which is no shock. As somebody who represents some of the impoverished neighborhood and actually lives in the impoverished neighborhood, to give an opportunity to, number one, partner with the school board, shows great measures to the residents and to the state and to the county. And if we do go forward with a joint venture, it doesn't say that we don't go to the county and ask them to kick in funds, or we don't go to Lois Frankel, who just is giving out funds to some entities right now. We have other opportunities, but to show that we are making the best use out of an opportunity by partnering with the school board doesn't say that we're not going to have the frills and the resort style pool at the beach. This is saying we're listening to the Sally Welshes, to the West Blackmans, to the people who use the pool, and to the kids in my community who can't get to the beach, and to the kids in my community whose parents are working 3 and 4 jobs. This is walkable for a lot of our community. It's near a bus route. It's got ample access. And yes, there are logistics that have to be worked out. Am I saying yes 100%? But I'm saying yes, I want to have the conversation. I want to know more, because our community has been begging for a pool. And you brought up, Madam Mayor, the drowning factor. And a lot of the things that we can do as electeds is say, how do we prevent things from happening? How can we partner and make things happen? I'm not saying write a check for $6 million. I'm just saying, yes, I would like to have a conversation. If the school board comes back and says, you get to use the pool 5 hours out of the week, that's not rocket science. I don't need a degree to figure out that's a bad move. Okay. I actually used the pool up until the day they closed. And it was hard to use the pool even then, being at the ocean, because it wasn't open very long. And it made the pool not be successful, which was the previous commission's that was their thought process, make it unattainable and it'll fail and then we can close it. I think that this is something that I would like to support. I believe that my residents support it. I believe that a lot of the non-for-profits who host children in our city will support this. Miss Reggie at For the Children can't build a pool. Adopt a Family can't build the pool. But they can bring us kids that need to learn how to swim. And I think that this is something that, I would like to support. I thank Erica and I think the school board for even giving us the opportunity, because I'm pretty sure if they knocked on the beach, Riviera Beach's door, or a Belle Glade or any other city, they'd be like, yes. They wouldn't be having a conversation. It'd be, yes, how do we get a pool in our city for our kids? So I do want to explore this, with obviously not putting a ton of money into the conversation first, but it does have my full support at this point.
Thank you. And I just want to add, I have gotten communication from our own mermaid, Sally Welsh. She got in touch with me, and she and I have both had, the pool was closed 10 years ago. There's been chatter about where should we put the palm trees? Where should we put the shades, right? And no pool has been, I don't know who was on the dais when it closed, but it's been 10 years. So I agree. And so Sally Welsh, although our heart is at the beach for a pool, understands as well that practically speaking, let's try to work to get an actual pool in this. That's going to work. Ms. May and then Mr. Segrich.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I agree with what Vice Mayor Maliga just said. However, I just want to tell a personal story. So when I was teaching in San Francisco, I taught a 4th and 5th grade combination class, and it was in the Mission District in San Francisco. And the kids couldn't swim and barely knew where the Pacific Ocean was. And I had a student, and I had her in 4th grade, and I was going to have her again in 5th grade, except she drowned over the summer. And it was heartbreaking. And we had a YMCA right across the street from the school with a pool. Now, this is 2001. So every Thursday, I took the 5th graders, after we lost Camille, I took the 5th graders over to the YMCA every Thursday to make sure that they could swim. And we live, obviously you can't do that today. There's 18 million lawsuits if I tried to do that today. But my point is that I could swim since I could walk. Like, this is not, and it amazes me how many people, grown-ups, don't know how to swim. And we live on the coast. And if there's anything that we can do to increase the percentage of kids and grown-ups in this city that know how to swim, I'm for it. And I think that, honestly, I think that the location at Lake Worth High is perfect. There can be community pride in the pool. There can be community ownership of the pool. I think that the high school being able to bring back their swim teams and their dive teams, and then the kids who are in elementary school, knowing that they're going to go to Lake Worth High, are going to want to learn how to swim so that they can get on those teams. So I just think, yes, obviously there's 5 billion logistics we need to deal with, but my heart is 100% behind this. And I think at this point, with our history of pool, this is a great opportunity, and I really do believe that this is the way to go. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Segrich.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would tend to agree with you guys that, I've said for a long time, having a realistic pool and having it near where the children are is a very wise decision. I think this is a great opportunity for us to explore. And, like you all noted, there are many questions and many logistics and so on, but really tonight we're just saying, yes, this is worth it for staff to spend some time on this and for us to, get this ball rolling. I do disagree a little bit with some of the statements where we say, that it necessarily precludes a pool at the beach. My colleague that's saying it's precluded a pool at the beach reminded me in the pre-agenda meeting not to speak in absolutes, because maybe there's a philanthropist out there that wants to write that $25 million check for a pool at the beach. It's unlikely, but maybe it'll happen, right? And then, we also have public-private partnerships. And that's why we're doing some of the referendums to offer us more opportunity than just paying for it by ourselves. So I'm in favor of exploring this opportunity, and I look forward to seeing what staff and the school board can come up with in this.
Thank you. So there you have it. Mr. Brown, would you like to say something?
Yes.
Bring it up. If you have a card, bring it up. Public comment.
Yeah. Also,
Sure, of course.
I wanted to invite Mrs. Whitfield to speak, if you guys don't mind.
I'm sorry?
I wanted to invite Eric Whitfield to speak.
Oh,
if you don't
please.
mind.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. Erica Whitfield, a resident of the city and very excited school board member to hear your comments. This is definitely an opportunity that I'm really, really excited about. I just want to let you know that the school board, from your comments, does not really want to run a pool. We want to have a pool that we have access to, but we're not trying to run the pool. So I think that all of these conversations can happen, but we do not have a lot of experience doing this. This is much more of a municipality thing. And what we do right now for our pools is we make agreements with our swim teams and we take them to other people's pools. So we go to Lake Lytle, we go to, the Riviera Beach pools, we are Gardens pools. We're using other municipal pools in the different cities to be able to make these happen, these swim teams happen. So I anticipate that would be kind of how we would run this as well. Mostly, I just am excited, like you all said, for the opportunity. The city of Lake Worth, when I first moved here, we had a big pool and I used to bring my child, and Miss Sally taught my daughter how to swim, and it was wonderful. And we haven't had one in a very long time. And I think this is something that's really needed for a city where we have a lot of children and we are trying to create community feelings around that. My imagination, and this, we can have this conversation, is that so we would be giving up our land to create this pool, land that we do have a softball field on, that we do have some things on, but the high school principal is very interested in having a pool and is willing to give up that land for this process. We would fence it off from our school. So it wouldn't be part of the school. It would be on school district land, and there would have to be agreements in place, but people could use it during the day because it's not going to be a piece of the school. So we can create those agreements. That is not a problem in my mind. I think it just takes our lawyers getting to figure all of that out. anyway, I'm very excited you guys are interested in looking at it. One of the biggest questions I had before this meeting was, would a pool fit on the property that we have? And that's the question that I brought back to you all today. Is we got our design team to look at it, and yes, an Olympic size pool fits. And does it have a splash pad? No. Does it have everything that you'd like to see, a cabana and all those things? No. This is a pool for community use, for making, and it would be Olympic size, so we would be able to have teams come and things like that. But it may not fit all of the things you were talking about. But I think it is a great option for both of us, since neither of us can afford a pool on our own. So a great community project. If you guys have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer
It
them.
might be helpful to find out what the agreement is between Santa Lucia, so they have pools that the public can also use. My
Mhm.
nephew used to go there to swim, so
Yeah.
that might be just find out what that's.
It's not our pool though. We don't own that. It's
Oh, okay.
on their property, but we don't own it. The only pool that we own in the county is Boca's pool.
Okay.
We have a pool at Boca High School, but we don't anyway, there was an agreement with the city for that as well.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. McCoy?
One of the things that would be nice to bring back to us, and I understand that some of the legal things, maybe you won't get to that real quickly, but one would be, if there is a swim team, a dive team, a polo team, which all are reasonable anticipations because they have existed at the school, could we get some estimate of what sort of schedule? And if you talk about it's Olympic size, the teams would come, might be brought in to help with finances. Can you give us some estimate of the time aspects of that, so that we have some idea of what the community?
So
would
at
be
Lake
the
Lytle,
non-time?
what I've seen happen there, just for your information from my experience, totally anecdotal, my experience is they would section off a piece of the pool for the swim teams to practice and a section for public use. So in the evenings when we had our swim teams go there to practice, they would just get an area, and some lanes and some other lanes would be public use areas. That was in the previous Lake Lytle. Obviously, the new one is bigger and nicer, and we haven't seen it yet, but that is a way that they could do it. But our swim teams all come after school hours. They're going to be there probably 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock. And that's generally when we use the time there. Obviously, it depends if the pool's heated or not, if it's used all year round, but hopefully it would be heated.
Yeah, and I'm not looking for answers right now, but I am looking for somebody to do a little bit of homework
yeah.
to, give us some idea of what we're looking at.
So I think that before that we moved forward with all that, we wanted to make sure you guys were at least interested, because there is cost associated. Obviously, we got our design team to do that without charging anybody anything, but there will be costs for everything that we have going forward. So I want to make sure that you guys are all on the same page. I know the school board is very interested in this as well. I just came here tonight to make sure that I hear from you and any concerns that you have. But I'm looking forward to staff going forward and really delving into those questions.
Another follow-up question. You mentioned that what the school board currently does in most cases, except Boca, is that you transport the teams, the kids, the learners, whatever, to another location. So something that you might go back to the school district and say, well, suppose that we went in on a pool at the beach. Could we take the kids from the school to the beach? That's a lot closer than some of the other transports that are done. Is that an option?
So I have to tell you, I'm very hesitant on the beach as well, because I do want the kids to be able to access it. And I think that the ability to have it on our campus is really amazing, because it is smack dab in the middle of the community. So that's something I was understanding about the Northwest ball fields, because we still have kids up there. But I think that it would be better served, just as a personal opinion, that it stays within the community. I think for the goals that we're trying to accomplish as far as a school board is really education. And so swim education can be part of that, and making sure that our kids are, to justify the expense, and also to replace what we were missing. We really felt, and one of the reasons that I was able to convince the staff and the school board to go forward with this is because the community was upset that we took away a pool that was on. So we're replacing, and that's why we were able to justify this huge expense, which I know is not enough for a pool, but $8 million is $8 million. So the idea of putting another one there is really to replace what has been taken away due to the lack of maintenance that was kept up, and, just a general deterioration over 50 years.
I swam in that pool since 1967.
Okay, so maybe more than 50 years.
Well,
You were an itty bitty baby, tiny.
I want to thank you. I want to really thank you for taking the initiative with the school board to have the plan made to see if it's even feasible.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all for
And I think
considering it. I
We have
appreciate it.
public comment.
I'll stay for a little bit. Thank
She's
you.
a rock star. Madam, Madam Clerk, do you have any public comment?
I have one, Madam Mayor.
Okay, I've got three, so let's do mine first. Todd Townsend, followed by Ramsey McLeod, followed by Kim Stokes.
Hello again, Todd Townsend, 502 South J Street. Looks to me like you're setting up to be able to sell the property off by moving the pool away. Okay, what about the dive school? Those guys want to be able to work right there, do their diving. That's a school. School. They're not going to want to go all the way out there to the middle of the city and do their dive school and then schlep on back out to the beach and do some actual diving. Are you crazy? Removing the pool here removing the pool to the school is a terrible idea for the following reasons. With tourism in mind, we're opening the Gulf Stream and building another hotel next to it. We need the pool, and it's $6 million to stay at the beach complex. Not every day is an ocean swimming day, and sometimes Miami sewage pipes burst, sending the torpedoes and sludge up here as we stick out into the ocean the most. Sending tourists to the high school amidst the underbelly of public works area is again bizarre, impetuous, and makes no sense. What about the freaks who think that are going to think it's time to go swimming with the kids? Right? There's plenty of them out there. Got to do something about that. And public decorum is quite different from school property etiquette. Nobody paying for expensive hotel room is going to like this situation. We've got to be able to, we're trying to become a tourist town, and you people are out in Iowa. You know what I'm saying? Iowa. And it's just really, okay. So they don't have an ocean in Iowa, you know?
That's true.
An Olympic sized pool, an ADA, or anybody saying anything about ADA? No. An Olympic sized pool with an ADA equipment is actually going to help us identify the new market. And that new market is actually post-medical people wanting to continue with their aquatics. So it's a market that we can actually tap into. And like I said, we just built this. We're building this new hotel next to the reverberation of the old hotel. We've got to build around tourism. Thank you.
Thank you. Of course, the Gulf Stream will have its own pool. Ramsey McLeod, followed by Kim Stokes.
Before I make my comments, I just have one thing to say. And I am really sick and tired of people in this city and members of this dais slamming the west side of the city because we're not as fancy as the rest of you, or we don't have the financial basis you do. But from the bottom of my heart, I share the same feelings as Miss Malega. It's about time the city, and thank you for the school district for putting a bug under their butt to think about the west side of the city. We are the front door. And it's about time some attention got paid and money invested in it. Ramsey McLeod, 24 South C Street. I just want to thank staff and members of the school district who worked together to come up with this design. It shows a lot of thought was put into it and provides more than just the Olympic-sized swimming pool. However, I do have some suggestions that I'd like to be taken into consideration while we move forward, because we are moving forward. It seems a shame to lose the basketball courts because I do see kids using them, but I have never seen anyone using the tennis courts. Is there any possibility that the surface of the tennis courts could be reconfigured for basketball courts and the existing basketball equipment be moved to that location? Also, Lake Worth High School does have a baseball team. So with the removal of their practice field, where will the team practice? Is the school district going to bus them up to the ball fields on 22nd Avenue? Or does someone else have to provide that transportation? Are there going to be accommodations for disabled individuals, such as a Hoyer lift on the shallow end for them to get in and out of the pool? Is there also a spot or space being considered to add a kiddie pool or a splash pool in the future? And it seems like they might fit on either side of the bathroom, or if the bathrooms were offset, maybe one or perhaps both of them could be added to this space. Is there also being space added into the bathrooms or near there for lifeguards to have lockers and perhaps a small office? I just want to thank you for considering it. Keep up the good work.
Thank you very much. Kim Stokes, and then we'll go to the clerk.
Kim Stokes, 1321 North L Street. I don't have as many remarks as I had in the beginning. I do think it's important that we think about logistics early. There does seem to be a theme, not just with this commission, but prior commissions too, that when people ask for information early, they're very easily dismissed by like, we'll pick out the paint later. And I just think that's really rude, because I think a lot of the things I heard from Ms. Whitfield tonight clarified things for me, and they should be talked about now. We don't need detailed schedules and detailed plans. Just knowing that they plan to fence it off so that it can be used during school hours is important information to know right now. But when I hear some of you guys, you just, oh, we'll figure all that out later. You guys want to pick out the furniture. It's not a good look. I agree with Ramsey. I think there's still a lot of logistical things that we should be talking about at a high level. Hearing that the school doesn't seem to have interest in kind of the day-to-day operational aspect. These are all high-level things that you guys should be putting together for the public to know. Because when we all hear like there's an opportunity at a pool at our school, we all have a million of these questions, and they're not nitpicky questions. They're real questions that we should be able to get answers to. So I'm very grateful for hearing some additional information tonight, even though some of you didn't think it was necessary. And I hope that we can get some high level information before we invest a ton of staff time. Like Ms. Whitfield said, it is expensive, but I still think maybe putting a document together of some of these high level things and publishing it somewhere for the community to see would be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
My one comment is from Peggy Fisher, 508 North A Street. I support the commission approving staff to have further discussions with the Palm Beach County School District regarding a joint use Olympic swimming pool. I think it would be beneficial to have a commission member be a part of the city's team for the discussions. That's the only comment on this item.
Thank you very much. So I think we have consensus to go forward. Yeah, everybody? Mr. McBoyd? Consensus to go forward?
With the condition.
Well,
that
yes,
somebody-
exactly. That's what we're talking about. Yes.
Correct.
But to go forward, we're just talking about going forward.
With an emphasis on providing some of the information that the community is looking for.
Yes, of course, we're all looking for that. All right, so we have, I think we have unanimous consensus. I think we do. Okay, so staff have at it. Thank you very much. Up next is B, unfinished business B, update on 1900 Second Avenue North renovation and expansion project. Mr. Waters, I believe you're.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. William Waters, Community Sustainability Director. As you requested, you wanted an update on the status of the 1900 renovation and expansion. So provided in your packet was the original presentation that was given back in January of 2024 for you to deliberate and choose Song and Associates to do our design work. In that presentation, the floor plan has been updated to reflect what is actually happening now, because the second floor got a little smaller. This is one of the sheets of our permitted documents that shows what is happening. Currently, we have completed almost all the interior demolition required for the project. There is a structural question that's being addressed in terms of the entrance experience and the common lobby. We have some maintenance issues we're having to deal with that were uncovered in terms of taking ceilings out. There were some concerns about the electrical system. So there are some existing conditions that were a surprise. The building, which did not know this, was actually constructed in like 3 phases. Some of the work was not reflected in the permitted documents, and then there's been a great deal of work done to the property over the years without permits.
Where's code?
We're inside ourselves.
Thank you.
So at present, the contractor and staff are meeting every other week to go over issues. The architect of record is at those meetings or available. Public facilities and IT has been invited to those meetings. They've been very productive. Cooper Management has done an extraordinary job so far in keeping staff abreast of where we are. Staff, sort of schedule wise, their detailed report on status. The form work is almost complete for the new foundations. I suspect they'll probably be poured next week. We have had to order more signage to help the public understand that we are now in the modular trailers along the road, and that it is not a wise idea to walk through a demolition site to go into a building that has been demolished. Though we still face that probably every day. There are 9 signs. Some of them are 12 feet wide and 6 feet tall. I don't know. But anyway, the contractor's been very cooperative, but there's lots of signs on the construction fence saying do not enter, it's a construction zone. But there are still people who are curious about what's happening and still like to buy a business license or talk to somebody in the building area that is empty. As for schedule, we do hope to have the southern portion. If you, this is a little thing. Julian, that area where planning and preservation was, we do hope to have that staff back in it by the end of the summer, beginning of the fall. He's going to, it's the area south of the it's outside the but we had to move out of that because of the impact of taking some of the ceiling out and fixing electrical, mechanical, and plumbing. So that staff hopefully will be back in, and then we can release one of the modular trailer systems within 6 to 7 months. Our goal, and we're still on track to have it completed by the end of the calendar year, or at least a temporary certificate of occupancy. I doubt we'll have all the sign-offs and all the checklists and punch items done by the end of the year, but we could hope. And so hopefully we'll begin 2027 in a new space. For clarification, please, for you that were not here when we had the design approved, it does have 2 entrances. Much of the design work was centered on where we are going in the future. There had been talk over time about moving customer service here, possibly moving parking here. And so the way the building was designed, there's 2 dedicated entrances. One is for electric utility and one is for community sustainability. They both will have card access, voice access, and will be controlled by the department to which you were actually visiting. If electric chooses not to use that vestibule, that's fine. I think we can just leave the wall up. They seem pretty open and interested in having that because they do have people that come in that really don't want to wait for my staff to help them find where they need to go. And this way they can call in directly. In conversations with IT, there is some cabling and a box. It's not really a server box, but it's a switch box that's in an office of someone. We're moving that to the 2nd floor. It'll be in a secure area that is rated, whereas it is not now. We had anticipated originally that the 2nd floor would be expansion space, but since this project has taken about 3.5 years, and altogether will take about 4 to bring into fruition, that space will now have 3 offices, a small meeting area, and a library, as well as a mechanical room that will have some storage, and then a dedicated IT room that will be climatized. So that's the update of where we are. We're well within budget. I think some of you talked about going over budget. It is a fixed fee. There are prices for everything associated with it. The billing is a little bit complicated, so we have 3 of us working on that to make sure that they stick within the budget. And right now we're looking very good. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer those.
Thank you, Ms. Malega.
Thank you. So this big area that says not in scope is not in scope of the work that we're doing now.
Correct.
So along that corridor that you were just showing, we're not touching that space right now.
The corridor is having to have some improvements done to the HVAC system, but the spaces, they are not having anything done to them.
So whose offices are those now?
They are the co-compliance assistant director, the planning and preservation assistant director, my office, the preservation office for 2 people, the landscape planner, the executive secretary for planning and preservation, a principal planner, and the budget manager.
So in those 5 offices, all those people are in those 5 buildings, those office spaces. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Well, there's
right?
no one in there right now.
But I'm saying that's technically where you guys would be.
Yes.
Okay.
Going back into that space.
Going back into that space. So, because I'm looking at all the little names that we have in all these office spaces.
And some of those may evolve over time as we move along, and we might switch some things around. So
to maximize the square footage.
Mhm.
Because I'm looking at the office on the far right side, if that's an office.
No.
And that's a lot of square footage that we could probably put a lot of people in,
The far.
the one that's snapping in. So the right of the corridor, where it's not in
That's
scope
the
right now.
warehouse. That's the warehouse
No, I
storage
think
for
you
the.
mean- Go to the left a little bit.
That's a storage closet, and then next to it is a space that has 4 offices and a small meeting area.
That's a storage.
Julian, you're going the wrong direction.
Yeah, you're going the wrong direction. That long skinny thing is a storage closet?
At the end of the corridor is a storage closet.
That big long space. I wish that I had that kind of storage closet. It's awesome.
This is,
Go, you're going the wrong way.
Julian, go.
Move up.
Nope, go down. Or down.
There you go. Keep going, keep going, keep going.
This long space right here.
There are 4 offices in there. They're not shown because it's office systems, furniture, and a meeting space.
So it is space that's being gonna
Yes.
be used, but not part of the scope. That's what my question was.
Mhm.
So explain to me on the mezzanine level.
Mhm.
And again, I have my readers on, so please forgive me. What is gonna be happening up there? Because I just see office and then a bunch of chairs. What department's gonna be in the mezzanine level with this
In
area?
planning ahead, it's likely that my office will move up and we'll be switching some spaces around because the space where the code compliance assistant director is now, used to be an office with 2 people in it, and we have the office system to do that. I do anticipate some retirement coming up that was not planned 5 years ago.
Mhm.
And likely we are going to have to reclassify some positions down and hire more people to cover when those people retire, because it's likely that we're not going to find somebody that holds in 2 areas the type of training and experience that person will have. So to be competitive, we're likely going to have to downgrade a position. By the time this is done, we're only going to be 2 years away from the census. I do anticipate that we will be at 50,000 people, and then we will need an office for a CDBG coordinator, and that person will need an assistant. Not to scare anybody, but my retirement is not that far away. And I
You
was
can't
joking-
retire until we get an assistant.
Well, and I'm saying whoever
Really?
replaces me is probably going to want an assistant because not everybody that I know who's at my level can actually schedule their own appointments and do their own travel. So that whoever replaces me is likely going to need some kind of assistant. I can see that person sharing an assistant with a CDBG coordinator.
Okay, so you've been thinking ahead for the growth that's coming when it
Yes.
comes to these office spaces. Okay, thank you very much. That's all I have.
And that concludes our update. But if you bring the blue cards up, we know you have them. I mean,
my
you-
bad.
I mean,
You know how it goes
to
to
do
the
this,
box.
Todd.
Sorry, my bad.
Don't slave into us. It's
Mr.
like getting
Segridge?
you agitated.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, William, for that explanation. I did want to point out, just for clarity, there is a line item for roofing in here. And then we voted on additional. So the total sum of the roof is actually both of those line items together, what we previously voted on, and that to take care of that. Have we assessed or estimated what the cost for new office furniture or office systems is going to be? Is that included anywhere in this budget, or is that going to be an additional line item?
We have been saving originally how this was intended, the building fund was going to be paying for it all. And so those staff who are not directly related to the building fund could not have their office improvements paid in that fashion. We have been saving some money. We have some excess office systems. We bought some office systems as part of FY25. We have a small budget in FY26. We do feel we have enough money in enough, like 4 different pots in order to buy the office systems firms that we need at the time when we move back in the building at the end of the year.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Miss May.
Thank you. Just a quick question. The overall budget for the entire project is how much?
It's well over $2 million at this point.
Okay. And that's for nuts to bolts, beginning to end.
It doesn't include possibly having to buy enhancements to the furniture that we already have or new pieces of furniture. We didn't include that because we didn't anticipate the need of it directly. But as we move along, we're probably going to have to spend some money on that.
Okay, so well over $2 million. Can you be a little bit more specific?
I think it was 2.3 that you approved between both the design work from Song and Associates, and the construction contract was with Cooper Management.
Okay, so 2.3. I mean, I didn't know if it was 2.9, 2.7, you know, there's a big difference in those numbers. And then, except for some furniture, do you anticipate coming back to us for more money?
I do not. There may at some point be a proposal for some IT improvements and upgrades as part of this, since we're moving things around. But I don't think that's going to exceed $50,000 and can be done in-house with money that we already have.
Okay. And then when I brought this up in one-on-one, it was I was told that like there were milestones and we hadn't hit the whatever milestone it was where you would like to present to us. Do you have those milestones available?
I'm not familiar with what you're talking about. I'm sorry.
Well, Jamie had told me that there were different milestones for this, and we weren't at the milestone that you wanted to present, which is fine. But where are these milestones?
Well, again, I was going to ask at the end of your guys' conversation, if you want us to come back as the project, like what is the frequency you guys want us to come back and give you guys updates?
Well, you indicated there were milestones. So if there are, those would be the time to come back.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously and we can discuss, but there are certain things that happen throughout the project, like once all the HVACs and stuff like that. So again, it's going to come down to what frequency would you guys like us to come back and let you know where we're at in the project. Obviously, we're on schedule for the end of the year. I'm having everything complete. So is it every quarter, like every 2 months, every 3 months? You want something every month?
I don't have an answer to that because you're the one who said milestones.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, if you guys, how often would you like us to come back and give you an update?
What I would suggest, we can send you.
I don't know. Like when we were looking at the WMOTA thing, they had the little circles and you went from thing to thing to thing, the timeline. And when I brought this up, it was, well, we weren't ready to do a presentation and because we didn't hit a milestone. And my question is, what are these milestones? Where are they and where can we see them? That's it.
Well, we were just looking to get a little bit further into the project before giving an update. But
Okay. Do you see what I'm saying? Like you use the word milestone. Well, what are they?
Well, that's what probably the wrong term I used. I look at milestones as when you kind of get done with certain parts of the project. So if we're 30% done with the project, if we're 60% done
Okay,
with the
so
project.
can you tell us when you think it's an appropriate time to come give us an update as opposed to a willy-nilly from us? Because that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like, I don't want to say, I want you to come on the third Tuesday of every third month. Like, come when you think it's appropriate to give us milestone updates. And my purpose for that is that so we don't get to next December, if it's going to be done by the end of the year, and we get, well, okay, but we didn't tell you this, but we need another $1 million.
Yeah. So,
If you need another $1 million, I'm going to go ahead and resign.
it could be like,
Have to. You won't be here if you need another $1 million.
it could be like completion of site work, just certain
What I
things.
would suggest is how we're doing is that we just give you an update every quarter, every 3 months, because that will give us 9 months for the rest, because we're already basically at March, and we can do it as a memo. And if you actually need a presentation or photographs or something, then we could schedule it the last meeting of that into that quarter.
Okay, I think for me, I just want to know where we are in the budget. What percent of the money have you spent? What percent's left? How much do you have left of the project? Do those percentages match? And are you going to finish on time, on budget?
So for that, Commissioner, would you is a memo satisfactory for that, or do you want actual presentation?
As long as the numbers add up. I mean, if you send me a memo that says that we're completely out of whack, then I'm probably going to want more
Also,
information.
if it comes to us, it would be for the public to know as well. If it came rather than just a memo, if we could share that.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea because if public is going to the right now, and especially if they don't even know where to go, maybe there should be some more information available to the public on the website that says we're under construction, soon to be finished in December. Watch the project as it goes. Maybe have the the PIO posting pictures. Here's the demolition, and then here we go with the building. Like, I'm not saying you guys do that, but I think it would be good to give an update. And maybe, you know how like when you're raising money and you show the red line.
In the next 4 to 6 weeks, there's going to be dramatic change to the front of the building. Once the footers get in and the forms are in, the foundation is poured, the block work will go up very, very quickly, and then you will not be able to see anything for quite some time as the inside is worked out.
Right. I just think it would be, people want to know what's going on. And they call us and ask. And so we need to be able to give an answer that says, yes, this is what's happening. It's going to make it better. It's going to make it better for you as a customer. And this is how.
If it's okay, it seems like the easiest thing to do is just quarterly, we'll just put it on the agenda.
Sounds
We'll
good.
just do it public. So that way it's easier.
Agreed.
Everyone, it's coming up, everyone sees, everyone hears it. So it seems like that's the easiest thing to go about.
Okay. Thanks.
I forgot I have one question. On number 8, under staff report, utility locates were completed after significant delays due to locate provider. Don't we have our own electric utility?
Well, they don't do the locates for utilities, and I do not know what happened, but it took almost a month to get like Miss Utility to locate. And when they came out, they went to the wrong part of the site and located utilities out by the Fitch ditch.
Okay.
So we had to have them come back out again.
It just seems to me like a delay to that threw me.
And their
for a loop.
online system was infuriating. Actually, we got there were complaints coming from both water, sewer, and electric that the provider was not being responsive, and they had some kind of computer glitch of some sort. But we got it worked out, and the locates were
So this
done.
wasn't on us.
No,
That's what I want clarification. This was not the utility department
no.
failing to meet their deadlines.
It
Okay,
was
thank
not.
you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Segridge.
Thank you. I definitely appreciated getting in the backup the form G703, which goes over the budget and percentage of completion, how much money was spent and not spent, and so forth. I guess based on Commissioner May's comments, my question would be, and I'm assuming the answer is yes, does our construction management firm have a project plan with a timeline?
Well, Cooper Management does. That's our contractor.
Mm-hmm.
They have one. And then each drawdown, which comes once a month, it includes what has been constructed or completed, what's been billed, what is now being billed by the unit pricing, and the percentage of like completion.
So in the interest of not creating extra work, at least in my opinion, just seeing that would suffice as understanding what are the milestones, what is that project plan, what's actually going on. And then if there's questions, we can ask, but I'd hate to have you guys create another document when it appears that these guys are doing a pretty good detailed job of managing.
That's not all of it. Like they have an agenda with where the status of requests for information, status of current items, outstanding items, the contract items, the architect's been at our meeting. So we've been having those every other week. So there's a lot that you don't see here in terms of managing the project.
Yeah, and I would just say, in the interest of fulfilling your request, I wouldn't want us to have to create new documents. Maybe just utilize those and share them with us periodically.
The most efficient.
Yeah.
way That doesn't waste staff time. Right. Great.
Yeah, because if they're already doing it,
Work with Nada, who is the project manager of Cooper, to sort of simplify some of those reports because they're not necessarily easy to understand. If we're just attached to something, we may get a lot of questions from the public. So we can, I don't want to say dumb it down, but we can simplify it to something.
Oh, no, you can say that.
It's okay.
So
I'm okay
it's,
if you dumb it
it's
down for me.
digestible. Because that pay app is quite complicated.
Mr. McCoy.
My question is not about the building, but you mentioned something in the process that your retirement is within view. I was just curious, are you or are other folks with staff working on succession planning and training and that sort of thing? Because I am quite convinced that you have a lot of knowledge in your head concerning the city, and not all of it is recorded on a computer somewhere or other. I would guess a good deal of it is not.
Yes, we're certainly working on that. We were already required to maintain that because I could be hit by a bus and that would be unfortunate. But we do have a succession plan. It's part of our overall emergency management plan of the city. And so we do have that in place. And I'm trying in my best as I can to train up people so that any one of the assistant directors, in support from the city manager could step into my shoes in some fashion. I will say that you probably will not, I'm not bragging, you will probably not find somebody with the various hats in education that I have. I just happen to be rather unique and overly educated. just because I like school.
Madam Clerk, do you have any public comment?
I do not, Madam Mayor.
Todd Townsend?
I got all my Lakewood people and me. All right. So, of course, it's a great idea to have staff in the best working conditions possible. That's how you get the best out of them, right? Everybody agrees with that. However, putting this project and it's off the cuff extra $500,000 ahead of the annex building is unsettling. That's a huge building with only 10 parking spaces. And so what if prospective parties ask for spaces in the new crazy garage that you want to build? Now you're really losing all these parking spaces. I mean, who's driving this bus, you know? And the roof on the annex building has been open for more than 3 years, 3 rainy seasons in a row. Just blasting through there, no attention, nobody cares. We're going to give it away, sell it away. You know, I'm just running out of superlatives for you people. You know, this is crazy. What about the annex building? 10 spaces. Who's going to take that? Are you going to have to give part of our square away? I don't know. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I think we've had the update. Thank you very much. Moving on.
Madam Mayor, can you please speak into your mic? Thank you.
I can. I said we have an update, and thank you very much, Mr. Waters. And it's not just Mr. Waters; it's lots of staff members, and I want to extend our thanks to our large staff. Thank you very much. Okay, we could take a comfort break. Okay, we're going to take a little break. We'll be back. Go get comfortable.
What's that? I don't know. Oh, really? Oh, okay, well, that is, yeah. Like she, that doesn't feel. Yeah. But the. No, just. Oh, yeah. We did. But we have to leave, we have banana.
Yeah.
That was. Like that.
Madam Mayor,
I know what you're going to say, Madam Clerk. And yes, we're ready.
it is 7:48 and we have reconvened.
Thank you very much. Okay, time for chit chat's over. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. Thank you. Update. Next up is the C, unfinished business C, update on the proposed downtown parking garage. Who's taking this?
Madam Mayor, Fred Woodfield and Lance Lilly from Chinmore Associates.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mayor, Commission. Pleased to be the lesser of the Whitfields tonight.
Yeah.
Look at team. So excited to share with you really just a progress update on how things are going. We do have a presentation being shared right now. You can see one of the renderings, which we'll be walking through here on the cover. We go to the next slide. You can see what we'll be talking about. So we wanted to give an update on kind of schedule, budget, and the design, give some kind of overview of how the process for the certificate of appropriateness process is going as well. So we go to the next slide, we can start discussing the budget. So in the comprehensive agreement, which was approved in April of 2025, there's basically three high-level categories. You've got the preliminary cost analysis design report, which we brought before you in, I guess it was August, I believe, of last year, and kind of walked through that and kind of came to an agreement around October on which direction we wanted to go based on that preliminary analysis. So that was the report that included survey, geotechnical data, and some concept drawings from the architect, Bruno Phillips with PJL. Right now, we're in the detailed design process where we're taking the recommendations of the city, which were a 4.5 level garage with 260 spaces, and the room for the relocated building of buildings associated with 17 South M Street, and really getting all of those plans fully realized for construction documents, and taking the documents as they come forward and as they're available, and putting them into the certificate of appropriateness application for the HRPB meeting, which we can talk about the schedule coming up. So basically, we're in the detailed design phase, which the original schedule, we are off schedule, but we're moving along, I think, still okay. We got thrown by the the October delay when we went through the 4 or 5 or 4.5 or relocated buildings or not relocated buildings. So the soft costs I show here at the bottom, right as of January 21st, which I guess is a few weeks ago now, but that was what was available when we were preparing the backup. The consulting team, which includes the architect and the engineers and the project manager from the SLWD team, had spent $222,000. And if you look in the cash flow and in the cumulative soft costs, that is, perfectly reasonable amount to have spent at that point. So as far as how we're doing on schedule, we're a little behind where I'd like to be. How we're doing on costs, we're doing, I think, fairly well. Sometimes you see some of the costs get burned faster and slower depending on different stages of the process. But overall, I think we're doing okay. Where we want to be is later this year presenting a GMP. There's a lot of steps between here and there as far as entitlement processes and things like that, permits and relocating buildings, all those pieces. But I think we're basically on target. So if we want to flip to the next page, talk about construction costs. So the next slide is an excerpt from the high-level overview of the cost estimate. So what was presented in October was a $9.8 million budget for a 4.5 level garage. What you see here is about 9.7 million is where the project is at based on cost estimates from JRM, which is a third-party cost estimator using the designs from PJL and Bruno. One of the things that I've asked the team to do is to give us still some kind of breakout here. This is everything all together. I'd like to see kind of what's the most basic version of the garage and what are some of the additional costs as we add up to the 9.7 from the amenities side. By amenities, I'm referring to some of the aesthetic improvements on the exterior, or there's been discussion of kind of like lobby areas around the elevators to help with some of the safety and security potential elements. And some of those things are not necessary for a successful and functional garage. They would be just nice to have for aesthetics or the city's functioning or functional use. And so what I'd like to do, because this is an estimate, is make sure we have those kind of broken out so that as we go into the actual hardware bids and the GMPs, we know how those total up. But working with the team, I think we're not in a bad place as any of these types of projects happen. You got a lot of things that move around, and so far I think we're in a fairly good place. So the next slide is as we kind of get into the plans that have been prepared by the architect. So we just excerpted a few sheets or a few exhibits from the plan set. This being an important one, the site plan. There's a site plan data table in the top right, which I'm sure no one can read on the graphic here or in the handouts. I'm sorry, but what I'll say is that this is the information that is fed into the certificate of appropriateness application. So Lance, who's AICP with Chenmore and been working closely with the team to make sure that the application is submitted and handled properly as it goes into William and Ann's office for review. We did get our feedback on completeness check. So we're moving through the process, and we talk a little bit about the schedule later, but we need to start moving towards neighborhood being getting on the agenda for HRPB, so on and so forth. So again, it's a moving target, a lot of different parts moving at the same time, but suffice to say, the information you see on this page was sufficient to get into the HRPB application and get the completeness check from staff. So I thought that was a good thing to share. Now getting into some more of the kind of prettier things to look at, I guess. So here's kind of a colorized overview of the site on the left, and then a couple of elevations. So on the left, you can see how the proposed landscaping and layout is for the garage and the site, the entrance and access, and then the relocated buildings. On the right-hand side, you can see with the south exterior elevation, the orientation of the house at South is east towards K Street, and then the garage is south towards First. And then this elevation, you can kind of see how the colors that are being integrated into the and the kind of architectural style that's being integrated into the precast walls, I think gives you kind of a better aesthetic appearance than just kind of a plain gray box. On the next slide, you can see elevations that would be from the east and west side and from the north side as well. So that northeast corner is where you can see the architect has proposed a kind of climbing vine wall and some more colorful flourishes like a mural on the stairwell column there, which I think is a really nice touch. Also has some color there along K on the east elevation, which is an area that, been discussion about maybe kind of more of an amenity along that corridor, potentially to activate or set up stuff along K Street. But anyway, I think overall the elevations kind of demonstrate how the plan is coming together and give you some sense of what the aesthetics will look like. So here's kind of the renderings of what those elevations look like. So this is the vision for the kind of showpiece of the garage to give you some aesthetic improvements. I think this is a terrific thing, and assuming we can pull it off and afford it, I think it's a really, really great look. I just want to make sure that we know what that price is, and as we start getting the bids in, making sure we can make that happen. Okay. And then here from what would be, I guess, First and K, you can see not only the garage, but also the relocated building and how the orientation would be for that. In the kind of back of that drawing, you can see a car accessing the garage on the, beyond where the accessing the parking garage, the public garage, beyond where the garage that had been relocated for 17 South End. And what I was discussing about the potential activation along K Street, you can see that Bruno has added a couple kind of shades that could be potentially set up temporarily for tables, or maybe such as something with the street painting like this week. If you wanted to have folks set up something like that, it kind of works out as a nice place for something of that nature. And here's from the south side, so you can see as part of kind of making the garage work, there's a ramp coming in and out there on the south side. I think it has a nice look to it as far as the aesthetic of the lettering and still using the precast elements to give still some architectural interest and color. And so you can see how that layout looks. And from there, it's really just wanted to touch on schedule. So a lot of these items are kind of tentative, but as I noted, we've been working on the entitlement package. So submitting the documents for the certificate of appropriateness early January. We received the completeness review in late January, first review, and then resubmitted our entitlement package in early February. So there is, I believe, noted on the agenda later tonight, transfer of property. So if that goes through, then I think we can get a few signatures that are missing because some of those signatures can't occur until the property transfer occurs. And pending all of that going through as hoped, we should be looking at having a neighborhood meeting coming up in March, and then getting our public notice out and setting up our HRPB meeting. So I've got a lot of tentatives listed on here because some of these are moving a little bit. Getting a date that works can be a little tricky, making sure the neighborhood meeting is a good night based on other public meetings. But we have been in conversations with staff on what nights would be good, what potential locations would be good. so on and so forth. So that's really it. But I'm sure there's questions, so I wanted to keep it quick and then jump into Q&A.
I just have two questions.
Mm-hmm.
When you talk about the color, like the blue on the corner, so that's in the cement, it's not paint, it won't wear off?
So as I understand it, there is some color, but I think there's still a paint that's applied after. Bruno's better at describing this, but as I understand it, there is.
Okay. And as far as the neighborhood meeting, the downtown, you're in downtown Jewel here, which is
Mhm.
my neighborhood.
Mhm.
First Monday of the month might be an opportune time to, have a bigger meeting and bring us in, because this is our neighborhood that's going to be hugely affected.
Yeah, I think Compass Center was one location that was discussed as an option.
Yeah.
That
But that'd be kind of a good night, because then
Yeah. first
you know,
Monday.
right, they can all come. Okay, Mr. Zegers?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Question on the timeline. You said it's doing pretty good. Can you give us an idea? Is it relatively on target with what the original expectation of the timeline was, or is there a significant difference?
When we shifted from August to October with locking in on if we were going to be 4 stories or 4.5 or 5 stories, we kind of pushed to, all right, now we're at the edge of where I thought we have 90 days of float. We kind of burned those 90 days there. The process of getting some of the, like having the public meeting and having the HRPD meeting scheduled, I think we're burning past the float. And so now we're getting into a place where relocating the buildings and getting that building permit in place and getting them over to the site on the schedule that we had originally worked towards is looking less likely. Now, I don't know that it's a huge surprise that things might lag 30 days or 45 days or something, but we're not in a place where I'm like, oh man, we're right on track.
Mhm.
That being said, I never really expect to be right on track with things that have this many moving parts. So to me, we're not in any way at a standstill or stuck behind a hurdle. We're just going a little slower than would be ideal, but it's a process.
So overall, what's the total duration of the project? How many months? Roughly, like how many months?
Yeah, so I know Lance has been putting schedules together. So our plan for so entitlements, we were looking for, I'd say midsummer, so probably June, July is what we have. GMP, we were hoping to have late summer, which I feel like still puts us in a decent place. Where to me, we should be starting construction of the garage is.
I guess is it a 24-month project? Is it a 36-month project?
I'm talking about CO for the garage is more like 36 months when you
36
back
months.
to
Okay.
all the way to topping out or
And so in your original scope, you were anticipating a 36-month project. Now 39 to 40, so about a 3 to 4 month gain. Okay. So you said we're doing okay on the budget. Are we over budget or are we on budget?
I'll be completely frank. I'll be frank tonight. Absolutely. So when we went from August to October, with the back and forth on the garage, 4 stories, 4.5 stories, 5 stories, there was some costs that the architect had to incur to do additional designs, and I understood that. And there is a contingency in the budget of $75,000 in the soft costs, which I felt comfortable that any of the architect had done inside. Additional to that, the design team had said to me that there was some additional costs that they felt that they incurred, and this is the HE2PD, which is the team that manages the architect, the engineer, the field tech, all the different moving parts, gets the GMP, the cost estimate. So the architect is working for that HEQPD entity. But they had also incurred additional costs. And to me, the burden of proof has not been met as to those additional costs being justified. So there's a bit of a dispute between what they think maybe their budget is and what I think their budget should be. I spoke with city staff, I spoke with the city attorney. I think we're pretty comfortable with our standing, which is the contingency is contingency if you can demonstrate that you need it. As of right now, the actual money that has been spent is right on track. So I don't see why you think that that additional money should be included. I communicated that message to them in one of our meetings, and they kind of said, okay, we'll digest that, think on it internally. So what I mean is,
So when was that?
when I said that, so that was probably 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago that I had that discussion with them.
So the reason why I'm asking is because I asked these specific questions a while ago.
Okay.
And the response I got was, we don't know. And so in response to that, I found it hard to believe that the project manager didn't know what the costs were. And I went through all of the emails, and which is why my colleagues have this update, which tells a very different story than what we've been presented. A lot of the numbers have been left out. This tells a story that we're actually well over $100,000 above our contingency based on what our contractors feel they are owed. And I understand that you're going back and saying, hey guys, we're going to dispute that. But that was sometime in December that these initial disputes started. And when I asked, it was after that knowledge was already there. And what I'm trying to understand is, when we're asking for updates on a project like this, why are we not given the complete picture? And why do I have to dig through 400 emails to find a very great document? You know, it's very similar to what the last project presented. It shows, you know, where we're at in there and everything else like that. But I just have a hard time trying to reconcile, why did it take me having to go through those emails to get to an answer that we had when I was asking this exact question?
So I'll say in December, the only answer I had was the additional costs from the architect, which I thought were not unreasonable, and was in discussion with city staff saying, hey, I forget the number.
51,000.
Yeah, $50,000, I would say, that the architect has incurred. I think that's reasonable, and it's something that we should consider. And the city attorney pointed out, totally fine to consider, but a contingency is something we only, engage if we've actually spent all our money, and we haven't even come close to spending our money. So who's to say there aren't other savings along the way? Why should we just allow them to reserve a portion of our contingency now, just because they feel that they went outside of the scope? Okay, good comment. My question to them was, is this all that you have, the design team? And all that I had gotten in December, when your inquiry came through staff, came to me, was from the architect. When I received that document that you have in January, I was surprised. And so I went back to them and I said, hey, I see the architect stuff. I already knew about that, saw their proposal. I see you have a number here that says you need another $110,000. No one said anything about that to me. It's just a box at the bottom that says you need another 110. That is not a sufficient justification. I'm not comfortable presenting that to the city other than to say, hey, they think they're owed another $110,000. I don't think so. I don't know where we're going to go with this. Here's what I proposed to staff that I do, which was tell them no and see where we land. And so we did. So that's a reason that I didn't include all that detail. And actually, when I brought that back to the design team and I said, hey, this doesn't make sense. You're saying you need money that you don't have a justification for how or why. We agreed with them that for documents that are here for the presentation, the slide that you see, we have 3 line items in the agreement, and so we're gonna put 3 line items in the summary. And then the backup that you have there, that's a disputed document, and the shortened version has the part that we're not in dispute of. So the portion that I included in the general backup is a table that deletes that proposed additional cost.
And it, in here,
She didn't understand your frustration because I was surprised by that.
so in here also there were just 2 other line items that I wanted to understand better what they were. There's $40,000 for R. Miller Consulting. What is that earmarked towards? And is that's I'm assuming it's part of the design phase. What exactly are we getting in that 40,000?
So you'd have to speak to the design team exactly, but that is Renee, that's part of the SLWD team, and that is her coordinating all the different pieces with David Kastner and SLWD HEQ. Sorry, so many acronyms, but the kind of owner's rep teams. So she is the kind of orchestrator of a lot of this. And I don't know how that amount kind of breaks out, but it was included in what was in the agreement total.
So when I asked, and forgive me, we tried to talk about this, but when I asked city staff who's project managing, they told me you were, which would generally mean you're the one coordinating between all of these entities. And we have a line item here of $124,000 for an owner's representative, which I would assume would include, if that's the person going around in between all of these entities. I just don't understand. And I guess I would like, without belaboring the point, I would love to get more clarity on that in particular, because to me, it seems a little bit redundant to what we've already have in that budget. The other one is the attorney. And I was surprised to see $100,000 for an outside attorney when our own city attorney has already expended $17,000 on this project, which doesn't appear at all in our costs. What is that $100,000 for?
So I understand your questions. I appreciate them. The names listed in here under consultant and project are all part of the SLWD team, which is the team that's delivering the garage. So they have an owner's rep shown as HE2PD, which is not me, it's someone else. I'm not this owner's rep. That's the company that is hired the architect, has hired the geotech, has hired the surveyor. Now the city has hired Chen Warren Associates and myself to be the owner's rep on behalf of the city and to check in on them, ask for reports, see how things are going, and provide you status updates and provide the staff with status updates. So when I'm trying to find out the answer to your question and say how much have we spent, I'm asking that owner's rep, give me a total, give me this information, and they're providing the table you see. I'm disputing with them. This doesn't make sense. Please explain, so on and so forth. As far as why they have an attorney and what that attorney is doing for their team, I can't speak directly to it. I will say that David Kastner is involved in a lot of the meetings and trying to sort out questions that come up on their end of, okay, well, what are the requirements of the agreement for us? What does this mean for our schedule? What do we need to do for the HRPD meeting and so forth?
So is your budget for your, it does not appear in here. So that's above and beyond.
It's separate. I have a contract with the city that I'm working under as a representative to the city.
So that's not being included in this cost. And I believe you did answer my question very promptly when I asked how much was expended. And I forgive me, I forget the number. It was somewhere in around 23,000 at that time. Do you have a ballpark of where you guys are at now?
But Chenmore has spent today, I think from February of last year when this started, so almost a year now, We have spent $48,000
48.
of a $135,000 total budget.
48 of 135. And you guys expect to be on budget
That is my plan.
or hope to be, right? Or under, right? So
We bill
towards that.
to only engage when it's the proper time and not waste city money.
Sure. So, it sounds like you're on top of this. I have a lot more confidence after getting the chance to speak with you about it and understanding some of these numbers. What I would like moving forward is that we have this kind of transparency, the good, the bad, the ugly. When asking, hey, how are we doing? It's, when I see an email or a line item in there, somebody wants an extra $100,000 because the extreme overages and timelines. Right. And I see a presentation that says, we're kind of doing okay. Maybe it's 3 or 4 months out of 36, which it's not too bad, right? It's like a 10% overage in timeline. It's hard to make that line up, right? And so moving forward in the project, because this is a huge project for us, right? We are not even into the expensive part. And, I didn't vote for it. I was very critical of the size and the value we're getting out of it, but I want to make sure that we have the best product coming out of it. And if that, so I want to keep an eye on it and keep on top of it. And basically I would just say, I would appreciate this detail, moving forward, if possible, right? If you have it. And also that I'm kind of concerned because you're talking about the attorney and some of these other entities that have been active thus far, but have not produced a bill for you yet. And so is that 100,000, do they have a $90,000 bill waiting for you? And, when I was faced with large projects like this and I had vendors who weren't giving me their bills, I basically told them, look, we're at this milestone. If you don't have your bill in for this milestone, you just ain't getting paid on it in order for us to keep track. So I don't know what strategy you guys employ, but I would really implore you to get anyone who's spent time to give you their up-to-date on this, so we have a clear understanding of where we actually, right? Because if we get to the end of this and these guys say, we're not going to let you dispute our bill, then it becomes a problem.
Yeah, so to me, they're in an agreement with us. And so they don't really have any standing to dispute.
They're in fixed price agreements.
So we have a $675 plus $75,000 contingency, and then that's a hard cap, which was what I communicated to them, which was, if you think you're getting more than $750, that's not happening.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think you're going to get more than $675, you need more than a note that says we need an extra $100,000.
So there is a hard cap that does protect us in terms of the legal documentation.
Yeah.
And that's also good to know.
Them to come back and say, hey, we need extra money. To me, in the framework of the agreement, and I would refer to the city attorney here, without some kind of extraordinary circumstance.
Yeah, and I saw that in the communications too. So I appreciate your time. I appreciate your candor in this, and because we're getting a lot of questions and a lot of pressure on this. It's a huge project for the city, and I want to make sure that we have as much information so that we can communicate to the public. And all of these questions that I had, your answers are very satisfactory and enable me to go back out to that public and say, this is what's going on. This is where we're fighting it. And this is where we're there. But if we could, moving forward, I know for our presentation, the one slide with a little arrow, you are here. That's great for the 5-second overview, but I'm not going to speak for everyone up here, but I want to do a deep dive. Just like we on Mr. Waters' project at 1900, we're doing a deep dive, and I would appreciate if we could do that moving forward.
I think it's fair. I'll say, to me, when I first got the paperwork that you showed, I was like, oh, cool, I can share this out. And then I started going through it. I'm like, this is going to set off alarm bells that to me are unwarranted, because this is not justified. And that's why I put it back and kicked it back to them and said, we need to revisit this. And so that's why we are here. But maybe next time when I have something that
If you get alarm bells, let us know. Bring us into that.
Yeah, here, turn off, fix the alarm.
I don't mind alarm bells.
Well,
understood.
God bless you. Thank you. Ms. Malega.
In the essence of time, where are we? I just wanted to make sure I don't go too far. So everybody, if anybody else has any questions, Miss Melissa, are you there?
I am here. Where else would I be? We have 20 minutes and 55 seconds, believe it or not.
There's still 4 of us that haven't spoke, so I'll try to be brief.
Let's make it 5 minutes each, then let's just be careful.
Okay, so I'll try to be brief.
Madam Clerk, will you keep track?
You can keep interrupting me, Dick. Start
I
my
will,
time.
Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
First, I want to say thank you to you for one thing I love about you, and I'm glad that you are representing us, is you have a good demeanor. Because there are some of us who, if you would have sent me this bill, I wouldn't have been so very kind, and I probably would have throat punched somebody. So thank you for representing the city of Lake Worth Beach professionally as you do. And thank you to Commissioner Segridge for doing the deep dive. I know this is your wheelhouse, and you know we all have our specialties, and I like to lean on our partners up here who have those specialties and those aspects. Now, my grandfather was a good old-fashioned carpenter, so I grew up with a drafting table and all the little circles and squares and toilets that are on a little plastic sheet, and you outline it. But to me, when I went through this, what stuck out to me was, and just to kind of go back to what Mr. Segridge was saying, the very last one of $110,000 for ad service number 1, HE2PD originally allocated $130,000 based on the expected duration of the project. Due to the project extending significantly beyond the anticipated time frame, an additional service was required to support the completion, but it doesn't tell me the service. Then if I go above that to the little line item of $22,170, $22,000 is a lot of money to our city. When it says the original agreement, including expanded coordination with city staff, they didn't know they had to coordinate with our city staff, the owner's planning representative, and then where they put presentation of quality graphics such as colored site plans, colored elevations, streetscapes, and photorealistic renderings. What did they think they were doing? Putting this on a bar napkin? I'm curious to some of this stuff. So I'm glad that you're challenging them, Mr. Whitfield. I really am, because this is important to us. And we are not trying to micromanage by any stretch of the imagination, because we're policymakers. But from up here, we need to make sure that we're being effective and we're overseeing the public's money the best way possible. And so I want to say thank you to Commissioner Segridge for the deep dive. Thank you to you for representing us in a calm, professional manner as you do. And I'm glad that we're going to keep our eye on this. I am questioning threshold inspections pending to be determined, and they put $50,000 paid. Well, who's the to be determined? Who did you pay, and how did $50,000 disappear? So under threshold inspection, it says pending, and then it says consultant to be determined.
You just got $50,000.
But it says
they didn't spend it.
They haven't spent the 50,000. Okay, because buyout, and I went over this before, I'm like, buyout is that estimate, and then to buy is paid already?
So they do some arrangements to try to save money internal to their team to pay ahead to get a discount on the bill. So for some of the, like with the architect, as I understand it, submitted a proposal for them for $200,000, and then they said, "What if we pay you up front a portion of the money, and then you can get a discount on that?"
So it's like getting a mortgage rate discount and your points kind of binds. Okay, so thank you for explaining that.
I'm sorry, Brent, can you speak up a little?
Sure, no problem.
Thank you. You're getting fainter and fainter.
So thank you for explaining that, because I didn't understand some of the language as far as the buyout, the total exposure I get would be our potential owing them. So I feel more confident listening to you and your explanation.
Yeah, that buyout is not something you would do normally as a city. We're not going to extend someone cash up front, assuming that they can do it. This is their risk that they took.
Okay.
To save some money.
So this is their risk, not ours.
Right.
Okay, so they're writing a check in hopes that they're going to get the check from us.
Like I said, they're on the hook to deliver us a garage that can be permitted and constructed based on drawings for $675,000 with the potential additional contingency of 75,000 more
To 750.
based on our review up to 750, and that's it. So if they kind of want to manage it internally, we can dispute some of it, but that's the agreement.
Okay, but like I said, I just questioned like the colored site plans. I'm like, what did they think they were giving us at that point?
I think some of that is to do with they did maybe one version of the site plan and then did versions of the site plan that they didn't expect to do. And we said, well, what if we expand it to that, relocate the buildings? Well, this is a different colored site plan than they had originally intended. But we can still dispute and talk out some of the details.
I appreciate you, and I appreciate staff. And again, thank you, Commissioner Segrich.
Mr. McBoyd.
Yeah. Thank you for the presentation. My comments are going to be at a very different level. I'm thinking about the big picture, our fiduciary responsibility as a commission, our expenditure of public funds, and the big picture of what we're gaining or losing as part of the process. I have three big issues that I'd like to make sure that we all get to hear and think about and talk about if people feel so inclined. One is the net number of downtown parking spaces. The second is the unsolicited P3 proposal that initiated this project. And the third is the downtown businesses. On the first one, net number of downtown spaces, you all have in front of you a green and white looking thing with notes to the side. I sent this to staff last week. The green and white reflects that it's a modification of what is in our backup, also is green and white. I do not agree with the numbers that were in the backup, and I've done my best job of providing what I think the correct numbers are. I sent them to staff last week and said, please confirm that my revised numbers are either accurate, or if not, please annotate it and show where they're wrong. I sent it both as a PDF, which is not very easy to work with, and as an Excel file, which is easy to work with to put your comments and changes in. I did not get a response. My numbers says that the 6 parcels that are covered by the interlocal agreements that were paid for by surtax, any sales tax money, that had constraints on them. Those constraints must be strictly utilized for surface parking. That means that those parcels, you can calculate out how many parking spaces they would provide. And the way I did that was simply go to the parking lot between South L and South M. It is 0.47 acres. It has 63 spaces. You do the division, you get 134 spaces per acre. That's my number. I applied that to all the other spaces. I see no reason that it'd be different. It might be a little different, but that's going to be a reasonable estimate. Doing that, the surface parking of those 6 parcels, if we had in fact done what we were signed up to do under the ILAs, that would give us 220 spaces. We were told initially, as this whole W Motor parking garage thing came along, oh, the parking garage has nothing to do with W Motor, they're totally separate. Now we're very clearly being told they are not separate. They're very much related. And in fact, the table that's in the backup says W Motor has a demand for 50 spaces in the garage. So those are not available to the public fully. So I added those to the 220 that were available in the surface parking lots. You get to 270. Quick pop quiz. Who knows how many spaces the parking garage currently scheduled, currently designed would provide? 260 is what's in the backup. So we are getting, for roughly $8 to $10 million, a net loss of 10 parking spaces. It is true. Tell me, have staff tell me that these numbers are wrong. But the surface parkings, those parcels were bought with the explicit purpose of surface parking. And they add up to that many spaces. W Motor eats up another 50, you're at 270. Even if you take W Motor out of the picture, because you can argue some things back and forth, and we'll come back to the W motor demand, you would still be for $8 to $10 million. We are getting 40 spaces. Well, 40 spaces for that price is not really much of a deal. So I have a concern about that. That's a big concern. I'm going to keep going because my time is limited on this. The second concern is the unsolicited proposal that led to this whole parking garage thing. State statutes say that if you're going to accept as a municipality as P3 unsolicited, you have to find that there is a public benefit for this. You also have to indicate that the unsolicited P3 is a better approach for the city than doing an RFP, which is the typical way where you put out for requests for proposals, different people can do, and you pick whichever you think is the cheapest, the best, the combination of cheapest or best. So there were requirements in going into the unsolicited proposal. The project has changed substantially since that finding of public benefit. As I
Sorry,
mentioned,
that's time, Commissioner.
well, I'm going to ask for additional time because these are pretty important issues.
People who haven't even spoke yet. At least let them try. Let them have a bite at the apple.
Well, Commissioner Segrich had probably
I-
15 minutes at the beginning,
understand.
and there was not a constraint put on. So I am not accepting.
If we have let you have more than 20 minutes and then we all got shorted on other topics. So
Well,
that
this
may
is
be bad.
pretty important. A $10 million
I
project.
understand, but you've had your 5 minutes. Let Commissioner May go next.
I don't believe you're
Commissioner May?
meeting, but
Do anything.
we have real issues with the P3. We have issues with our downtown businesses who are very concerned about paid parking.
Mr.
And paid
McBoy,
parking
your time is
will-
over.
This parking garage will not work if you don't do paid parking.
Thank you. Your,
So-
your time is over. Thank you. And you can ask all these questions of staff in private.
I have, and I've not.
Mr. McBoy, thank you. Okay, so. Good. We don't have to fill up that half hour. Okay, so where are we at? We have the
Commissioner
update.
May didn't get to go.
Did you have a like?
I don't know.
Hmm.
No, I mean, I do.
Is there anything else that needs to be said? We have an update.
I just want to ask if this new data that is brought out here, have you seen this?
What new
That
data?
Mr. McBoy has gotten. Did you get a copy of this?
So I did see a copy of the item that's been circulating, and one of the comments I would note on specifically, although I haven't checked why he has a difference between what was presented. If you remember in October 2025, I had like a table, totaled up everything. And I think that was also presented in August with some more detail. And one of the items that I think is a clear difference, which amounts to, I forget exactly how many, but 60 or so spaces between what the Commissioner McBoy identified, is the calculation of how many spaces per acre could work and how that could be applied to the parcels that were bought with the penny sales tax. So I don't have his paper in front of me, but the obligated penny sales tax spaces that we have is 36, and I think you have like 60.
Yeah, I have no idea where you're 36. I couldn't find
So
any
I'll
calculation.
tell you. So you have 88 and I have 36. So the 36, when those parcels were purchased, at the time they were purchased, the city or the CRA, I'm not sure who, acquired the services of Civil Design, which is an engineering firm, to lay out parking spaces you could fit on those lots. And because the lots aren't configured in the easiest way to fit parking spaces, where you have the entrance and the exit and curb returns and all these things, you can only actually fit 36 spaces on the parcels. You couldn't apply like a blanket space per acre to get the same calculation. So that accounts for 28 spaces of the difference. And then there's another 24 spaces where it says obligated penny sales tax K and first. I'm not familiar enough to understand what the penny sales tax obligation is, but when I did the research, the only place I found the obligation was the parcels that I was referring to on L and M, which is amounts to the 36. So I think that is a bulk of the difference. That's 52 space difference. And I used the plans that were drawn up by the engineering firm that saw how many spaces they could fit in what amounts to kind of some weird parcels. And what I understood as the parcels that were purchased with that obligation tied to them. And that's how I have 36. And it's different from the methodology used by the commissioner to arrive at 88. But again, I just looked at this for maybe 15 minutes.
Oh, no, I just
At, like,
got this as well.
5:45
Yeah,
still.
same.
So there's probably some other things.
Okay, and if you do find something, if you look at this later, you will let us know.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Madam Mayor, if I may
Sure.
also, the long-term parking agreement on the 50 spaces in the parking garage. We're required by the long-term parking agreement to leave 50 spaces open for the public and or patrons of the WMOTA Museum. So the general public can use that 50 spaces, or if there's 50 patrons at the museum, they can use those spaces. It's first come, first serve. We have the right to use those spaces on special events with notice to WMOTA of when we're going to be using them. If we have to do repair and maintenance, we have to give them a notice, but otherwise they're just generally open. So for the remainder of the parking garage, we could have long-term leases, we could have monthly leases for, parking arrangements with entities, but those 50 have to remain open for the public. So they are not specifically designated WMOTA parking spaces. And
Thank you.
that's in the long-term parking agreement.
And don't they revert to the city at some point?
Yeah.
Yes, it's the term of that is like 19 years and 10 months or something like that. And all of that-
519, that's
That's
different.
how the city can decide if it wants to keep those 50 open or do something else.
Are we sure the time, the 19 years?
I believe it was the 5 years, right? Because it was basically.
Yeah, I think it was 5 years. Yeah.
It was
Like-
yeah. That's originally they wanted it
And we
just
said no.
Okay.
in perpetuity.
So we have to
but we said-
guarantee 50 open spots not designated in for specific entity where they could mark it and say
Right.
reserved for the Playhouse. Right. And so we just have to leave those open. And then if I want to go to Lilo's or I want to go to WMOTA, I can park there.
Correct.
Okay. And then after 5 years, we could feasibly lease the whole thing out, but we wouldn't have any parking for the public
anymore.
So, okay. Thank you for explaining that.
Okay, now we've all asked our questions. We've been updated. I think we can draw, I see your lights on, Mr. McBoy, but I think it's time to move on. You have every opportunity to ask, you can get in touch with,
And then people wonder why I say something about good governance. These are $1 million decisions, and we can't even get data to commissioners. And then it's time to move on with 5 minutes of
Well,
discussion.
must,
That's why I say this is not good governance. It's not responsible use of.
thank you.
taxes.
It's good to have yeah, really. It's so wonderful to be denigrated on a regular basis. Okay, we have
By your actions.
everybody. All right, we have a few comment cards. Todd Townsend, Ms. Colmeyer, Ms. Stokes, Ms. McLeod, and no name. And Madam Clerk, do you have comments as well?
I do not, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. Townsend.
Todd Townsend, 502 South J Street. I just wanted to thank Dr. McBoy for what he just got done saying. That is his name, Doctor, right? Or Commissioner. Yeah, he pretty much said everything I wanted to say. But I just wanted to also add, the gentleman just got done saying, go see Renee. We got to talk to Renee, sweet Renee. Well, after all this time, we people saying, these two projects are not related. They have nothing to do with each other. It was a damn lie. And everybody knew it, and you knew it. Why is your head so high in the clouds over this horrible project? Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Colmeyer, followed by Ms. McLeod.
Catherine Colmeyer, 503 First Avenue South. Yeah, thank you, Dr. McVoy, for asking those questions. It is a very, very expensive project. And interesting, Mayor Resch, that you would suggest that Dr. Mavoy should ask those questions of the staff in private. There's so much about this garage that we have come up, and many people have come up over the months to ask questions, to make comments. And there's so much of concern, and many spaces were lost in building this garage. You know, the spaces the garage is actually on have been lost. The spaces W Motor is taking up have been lost. When I looked at the backup and I saw this was described as, I think, the parking garage section of the W Motor project, it made me laugh a little bit after the town hall at the casino, where Renee Miller and others said this is nothing to do with the parking garage. You cannot ask questions about the parking garage at this meeting because the W Motor project and the parking garage are completely unrelated. And now we see in the backup they are quite related by a city backup. I'm not making that up. And lastly, just looking at the rendering of what it will look like on K Street, First Avenue South is actually quite a little bit smaller than it looks in that rendering. The building is massive, and a little bit of blue concrete and paint and a creeper going up the building does not take away the fact that it is a massive concrete block in the middle of a residential and downtown neighborhood. And it's going to be absolutely unpleasant. Thank you.
Ramsey McLeod, followed by Kim Stokes.
Ramsey McLeod, 24 South C Street. Here's another prime example of poor fiscal decision-making. W Motor brought us an offer to build a 4-story garage at a cost of $8.5 million to provide the financing at a low interest and release it to the city once that debt was paid off. At that point, we should have been around $300,000 to $400,000 over budget, but I felt confident we could pay that off in a short amount of time. Then, when the drawings came, the levels got as high as 5.5, and the overall cost rose to up to $11 million because some members of the dais feel that the decision needed to be based on the per parking space cost. Bigger is apparently better to them in this case, but we can't think that way. We carry a debt of over $22 million annually, so we need to think in a manner that doesn't increase our indebtedness and that it doesn't extend for a protracted period of time. This is staying in a budget. Now we have to secure additional financing because you want to put us in a debt for millions of dollars instead of sticking to the original terms. How is this beneficial to the city? You need to stop making decisions that ignore our carryover debt and begin to tackle that issue. All the past commissions never addressed this growing concern, so we continue to be in a perpetual indebtedness state. When the Lucerne was built in 2006, the residents didn't want that. We wanted a 2 to 3-story parking garage, but the powers that be didn't listen, so we got that building. There are a number of residents here that moved here from Delray Beach because of what happened there with the developers. We don't want to be gobbled up the way they were. We want to remain that quaint, small, historic Florida beachy town that invites people to enjoy a slower pace of life. It has proven to be a working formula because of all the new families moving here that are seeking relief from overdeveloped cities. We don't need a garage that stands out, but rather one that fits in.
Thank you. Kim Stokes?
Kim Stokes, 1321 North L Street. I am a firm believer that any objective person would come and look at this unsolicited proposal that you all accepted and say that it is not only not a public benefit, but a detriment to the city. We are losing parking spaces. We're not making up enough to justify a $9.7 million expense. And my calculations show that WMOTA will be placing an additional strain of 67 cars on this road, on our downtown. 51 parking spaces that, yes, are open to the public, but that they need because they didn't meet their parking requirements. 76 spaces you allowed them not to build because of the shared parking provision, even though they are not sharing parking. So yes, that's technically allowed by code, blah, blah, whatever you want. The reality is that's 76 spaces that should have a place to go that don't. Yes, they are allowed to take 16 spaces on street. That's our downtown on the street and count that towards their parking requirement. That's allowed by code. I'm not disputing that, but you have to acknowledge the strain that this project will be putting on the downtown. 24 spaces are not building because code somehow says they can put 156 bike racks somewhere, I'm not sure where, and that will remove 24 cars from the road. The reality is that's not true. So you are going to be putting this project, 167 additional cars into our downtown, your garage, whatever numbers are there. I think it's really disrespectful that Commissioner McVoy asked for those numbers, he said last week from staff, and didn't get them. It doesn't matter what the numbers are. The strain WMOTA is putting on our downtown will not be made up by the additional spots that you provide at a $9.7 million cost. And guess what? Downtown businesses don't want paid parking downtown. So what are you doing to the downtown businesses? You're not even giving them extra parking spaces, but you're giving them extra barriers to customers coming here. And you accepted this unsolicited proposal and said it's a public benefit, and it's not. And Florida state statute says it needs to be. Thank you.
Thank you. That's the end of the public comment. Okay, moving right along. I'm sorry. Oh, Mr. Brown.
Yeah, real quick, just clarification. Christy and I, we both threw out numbers. The 5 years, if there's a paid parking program downtown, if we're going to charge for the garage, the 5 years was if you patronize the museum, you get the 1 hour free parking. Basically, that ends after 5 years. The 19 years, 11 months is actually how long we'd have to keep the 50 spaces available to the public. So that was the two numbers, the 5 and
I thought I put a card in. I think I scratched it out on the pool and then I changed it to this one.
Was that?
Oh, did I forget to put it? You don't recognize my writing by now? Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. We're all good now. Jenny Powell, 224 North Palmway. It's not a secret that I have not been in favor of this garage, and I've tried to follow it as best I can. And the number of spaces has always seemed like a moving target. And I don't think it's fair that Commissioner McVoy did not have as much time as other people had on this. So I'm disappointed about that. Okay, on the number of spaces, whether it's a deficit of 10 or an increase of 30 or 40, I mean, still the cost for an extra 30 or 40 spaces is astronomical. You may recall that I gave you a spreadsheet a few months back. Don Rosenshine and I went around and did a survey of the parking around the city, the potential surface parking that already exists. And this was a pretty quick survey. We came up with 546 privately owned surface parking, which my understanding is that's what the restaurants that have valet parking are supposed to be finding, those sorts of arrangements with private property owners. Like I stopped at Oceana one day and they said, oh, we park over at PNC Bank, which I don't think they do. I think they park in the street wherever they can find parking, unfortunately. And as I think Ramsey said earlier, that is not being enforced. So anyway, Don and I went around, did a pretty quick survey, but we actually counted in, I think, 14 or more lots, including City Hall, we included, I don't know if we included the hatch, but every surface parking that we thought should be available to both the businesses and potentially to the city. Now, would it be a little complicated to probably do agreements with those people, get insurance, but I can't imagine that would cost anywhere close to $10 million. And then to use the circuit to connect all those satellite offices or satellite.
Thank you, that's time.
Patients. So I'm going to email that to everybody. Thank you.
Okay, we are now moving to the next item, which is D, interlocal agreement and First Amendment with Lake Worth Beach CRA.
I took a picture of the mayor not listening to public comment and being on her phone. Yes, I did, definitely.
You took a picture of
Yes,
looking
I
at the
did.
email I just got? So I should take a picture of every time you're typing into your computer?
And
I don't think so.
No,
Thank you, Ms. Malega. Thank you, Ms. Malega. I am an attorney.
I find it offensive that people don't, on the elected officials, don't listen to public comment and instead are on their phone.
I can
No, I do not do it all
You're
the time.
always on your computer.
I'm always on my computer. I have the agenda on the computer.
You do plenty yeah. Okay,
No, I
so
do not.
up next
It's
is
typically turned over.
item D. I think you might want to look at that thing that Ms. Malega passed out today. Okay, yeah, it is. D, agreement for First Amendment with the Lake Worth Beach area for transfer and lease of property. Who's going to take this? Is that Mr. Brown? Is that you, Mr. Brown?
Hello. Hard to
Somebody.
follow. We just wanted to acknowledge we do have the executive director, Joan Oliva, here tonight as well for questions that might come up. I did want to kind of turn this over to our city attorney to kick this off. Madam Gita.
All right, thank you. This item is the interlocal agreement with the CRA and the First Amendment to the interlocal for the transfer and lease of real property, all related to the South Key Street parking garage. So what this interlocal does is three things. It takes the properties that the CRA currently owns. There's 3 parcels that are at the south end of where the parking garage is going to go. It transfers those 3 parcels to the city. When that occurs, the city will own the entire parcel where the parking garage and the 2 structures from 17 South M Street will be placed. Also in this interlocal agreement, the city will then lease back the underlying property to the CRA. Now that's necessary for the CRA to issue the revenue note, 3.5 million revenue note. That's a companion item that's next on this agenda that the city has to approve by statute. And so that's the second thing. It's the lease back to the CRA because they have to have a legal interest in the property in order to be using the money on the property. The third thing the interlocal does, it then addresses that payback agreement between the city and the CRA for that revenue note. So that's the 3 main things that the interlocal agreement addresses. The First Amendment is necessary because when we first negotiated this agreement with the CRA, we finalized it in August of this year. The CRA promptly took it to its board and had it approved. When it was approved, the initial version that's in your backup, it had a transfer date for the properties to be transferred to the city, I believe December 16th of 2025. Well, there was some confusion, and in December of this year, the CRA also approved what it needed to approve to start the process for the revenue note. When the CRA notified us, the city, and said, hey, we're ready to move forward with the revenue note, now the city needs to approve it, we realized that we hadn't brought the interlocal agreement to the city commission. So at that point, I said, ooh, we have a transfer date that we're going to miss because of the publishing dates for the agenda for the city commission. So we had to push the interlocal agreement to early this year, which then necessitated the First Amendment to change the transfer date from December 16, 2025 to now it has a March 1st deadline of 2026. When I was looking back at this, I realized, ooh, we also forgot to address the whole issue with the surtax interlocals that the city and the CRA did back in 2018 and 2019. So as you may recall, for some of you that were on the dais, in March of 2025, I sent an email to everybody because some questions were coming up about the surtax monies that the city gave to the CRA. So I sent an email to everybody to explain the background on those surtax interlocals agreements and how we were going to propose to then terminate those interlocals based on the CRA's transfer of property back to the city, transfer of additional parcel to the city, and the CRA's funding to help develop and construct the parking garage. So that email I sent back in March of this year. I realized that that information had not been put in this interlocal. So the First Amendment does two things: changes the transfer of real property date to a March deadline, adds in the information that was in my March 2025 email regarding the surtax interlocals. Now, if we want to go back in time before folks were on the commission, back in 2018 and 2019, the city and the CRA partnered over the surtax funds that the city received. The surtax funds that the city received were based on a county referendum to charge an additional tax on sales tax. The money was earmarked under that referendum for local government, meaning cities, counties, and the school districts' infrastructure needs. So the interlocals that the city did with the CRA, there were 3 of them, 2 in 2018 and 1 in 2019, was to give the CRA funding to acquire parcels in the downtown for surface parking spaces. The amount of money that was transferred to the CRA in those interlocals was just over $2.4 million. So fast forward to when we started talking about the whole WMOTA project. In the initial development agreement that the city commission approved, which became effective October 29 of 2024, in that development agreement, we laid out how all these parcels were going to be utilized for all the different components involved. The mixed use project for WMOTA that has the residential and the museum component, the arts alley, and then also the parking garage. And there's other components in that, obviously the relocation of the contributing structures and other things associated with that overall development agreement. That laid out how all these parcels were going to be utilized for components of the project. That laid out that some of the parcels that the CRA received through the surtax money that the city gave it were going to be utilized for the mixed use project. Some of those parcels, in fact, 2 of them, would be transferred back to the city for the parking garage. So it's convoluted, but you got to go back in time. But the easiest thing to look at is my March 21, 2025 email that lays all of this out. And the content from that email is what's in the First Amendment to this interlocal to explain that if this is approved, this interlocal between the city and the CRA, then the city is making the decision that we've received the funding back from those surtax interlocals, and we are properly using them to construct city infrastructure, being the South K parking garage.
Could you repeat that? That's a lot.
You got
That's a lot.
Sure.
Okay. Okay, Madam Clerk, please keep them at a time for everyone as well. Let's keep it to 5 minutes for seeing how we do. Mr. McVoy was first.
Madam Mayor, just real quick,
Okay.
can I just ask, it appears that because it was right after the election, Commissioner Severage did not get this email.
Correct.
Can you please forward it to him? So he's, okay. All right.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. McVoy, you got your 5.
Okay.
Mr. Savage, you got your 5 then.
No comment on uneven enforcement, but I just want to point out several things. I appreciate the attorneys laying out some of the history. Some of that I will cut out of mine because she's laid it out. I'll add some other pieces. We have a lawsuit in front of us. All of us have received emails. All of us received today a letter of, I don't know what you call them, but a letter giving more information, comment letter, I think they're called, on this lawsuit. This lawsuit has a different view of what has happened. Quick review of it. Parcels, as the attorney said, were bought with the surtax, penny sales money. There were associated restrictions, not from the county, but ones that the city and the CRA put in at that time. Something that the city attorney did not mention is that the money was to be strictly utilized. That's the language, strictly utilized. That sounds a lot to me like legal shall for surface parking areas. It also specified in those ILAs, the 1819, 2018, 2019, that if you don't do that, the parcels go back to the city. Now, why is that relevant? Because our charter says that if the city is going to make decisions of public land, it has to go to a vote of the people. The very thing that this commission is trying to take off of the city charter, but it's on there currently. And it was on there in 2018. It's been on there. It still is on there. So that's a reversion. That was a protection that was built into those interlocal agreements that if for some reason the CRA decides to do something different, well, the protection for the residents is that the properties go back to the city. The CRA has not followed those ILAs. Instead, they gave some of those parcels, sold for $10 to a private developer, clearly in violation of that interlocal agreement. And additionally, the proposed First Amendment that is before us today removes that safety feature of, hey, if you don't use it for that original purpose that was agreed on at that time, it goes back to the city. This amendment removes that. My understanding of what is going on is this is clearly a misuse of public funds, which is not a good thing to be doing legally. I don't want any part of being part of that. It also looks to me like this is a deliberate evasion of the city's charter requirement that there be public votes when you give away public lands. And the stuff that's before us today looked to me like a retroactive attempt to correct that misuse of public funds. And what I hear, I'm not a legal guy, but what I hear is the courts don't look very favorably on, oh, whoops, let's try to fix this. And I would lastly say that the commission can't vote knowledgeably, intelligently, wisely on things they don't know about. And I would guess that everybody on this commission didn't know about those interlocal agreements and hasn't until relatively recently. So again, I don't want to be any part of misuse of public funds, and I will be voting against the First Amendment and the ILA for those reasons. And I hope that this commission, which has expressed itself to be lawsuit averse, would maybe do a little pause and figure out, geez, is there some merit to that lawsuit, or let the courts figure that out? Because there's enough merit that an experienced attorney apparently thought maybe we had an issue here.
Thank you, Mr. Segridge.
Madam Mayor.
Oh.
If I may.
Sure.
With any pending litigation, our recommendation is never to comment on pending litigation. But I want to clarify a couple of things. In all three interlocals, they all had the same provision. And it said, the CRA understands and agrees that the transferred fund, that's the surtax funds, must be strictly utilized as set forth herein, including the continued public use of surface parking area for the term of this agreement. Unless this agreement is otherwise amended by both the CRA and the city as set forth herein, any use of the transferred fund by the CRA, which is not in accordance with the terms of this agreement, shall be grounds for the city to terminate the agreement as set forth herein. Every interlocal that's involved provided for the city and the CRA as partners in the development of downtown to revise these agreements as they saw fit. There's no reverter in these interlocals. It was merely a way to help the city at that time develop surface parking for the need downtown. And as this evolved, should the commission decide to approve this item tonight, it will then terminate these, finding that the city received the surtax funds back and they're properly being utilized as required by the county referendum. I also want to say that none of the properties have been transferred yet. And Ms. Leva can correct me if I'm wrong, but the CRA is still owner of all the parcels at issue.
Thank you. Mr. Segwich.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Attorney, for that. You took some of the beginning parts of what I was going to say out, but I think you sounded a lot smarter than I would doing so. I was going to point out that same provision, and when we look at the law, words matter, sentences matter, context matter. You just can't take one sentence out of an agreement and then use that as a rallying flag when the very next sentence says unless. The key point there is these properties have not yet been transferred, and therefore these interlocal agreements are very much alive. They're very much in force, and we do have the right to amend them as we so see fit. And I think that's what the attempt is here tonight. I will say that I like things to be spelled out very clearly for the public to understand. I did get a copy of the email, and it is largely what is explained within this document. I found it a little hard to follow because I didn't have the history, and I had to spend a lot of hours coming up to speed and so on. But one of the basic premises of what's going on here is that we have realized that these interlocal agreements established in 2018 and 2019 are actually no longer possible because of the historic structures and other things. Times change and so on, and we want to amend that. I would have liked for having a whereas clause that basically says that out loud and says that, hey, we've realized that they needed to be changed and we are changing them here. I didn't see that. I don't know if it matters if we add that or don't add it, but I would have felt that would have given us more clarity. The way I see it as written is I would have liked to seen us go from A to B to C to D, but this language just goes from A to D. And it's okay. It gets to the same spot legally. To me, it just could have been broken out a little bit easier to understand what's going on. But it is important to note that these parcels are still in place. We do have the right to modify these agreements. And where I was originally very much against what we had written here, it's now satisfied all of my concerns that I had with that. And the city attorney and I spoke at length on that. Looking at a few other things, returning back to the parking garage, I just did have the comment. I didn't want to use up the time there, but it was interesting that Dr. Mavoy was the one complaining about the number of spaces in that parking lot, and he may choose to remember that he, in fact, was the deciding 3-2 vote on implementing that parking garage. Maybe he didn't know what he was voting on, but two of us up here voted against it specifically because of the number of spaces. Dr. McVoy was the deciding vote to implement that number of spaces. I'm glad to see he's come around to maybe seeing the point that there might not be enough there. But I'm also a firm believer that once we've decided on something and it's not going anywhere, how do we make the best of it, right? So how do we cut budget? How do we save money? And that's why I chose to do a deep dive into those numbers. On this particular side, in the development agreement, we have performance of the work, and it says that the developer has to finish according to their critical path, which is 26 months after closing. Has closing occurred yet? Okay. So we still have that 26-month timeline. Whose responsibility in that critical path is it to move the historic building? Is it the cities, the CRAs, or the developers?
Under the relocation agreement, I can speak to 17 South M. They are required to move that one, I believe, for the other one that is going to be owned by the CRA. They're to move that one. There's some intricacies in that relocation agreement, but ultimately, I believe, and again, Ms. Leva can correct me if I'm wrong, it's ultimately on SLWD to relocate all three structures.
If they're being relocated.
Correct.
Okay. And if they don't perform according to the critical timeline, what is the city's remedy? What happens?
That's an excellent question, because we built in, there's some default provisions within the various agreements, because you go back, we have the development agreement, we have a long-term parking agreement, we have the Arts Alley improvement agreement, we have the relocation agreement, we have the comprehensive agreement for the parking garage. So if they don't deliver on the parking garage, that time frame, we will have a public construction bond on the parking garage, which will do two things. It's both a performance-based bond and a payment bond. So if they don't perform under their contract and deliver us the parking garage, we can go after both them and their surety. If they don't pay their contractors or subcontractors, it's a payment bond that the contractors and subcontractors will go after themselves. So that's on the parking garage if they don't perform.
Okay. And so what I read in here too, under the development agreement is, if they're in default, the city and the CRA have some pretty powerful remedies of requiring them to assign all their rights back, and a lot stronger language than I've seen in most city contracts that we've done in the past. Basically saying that if these guys don't perform and don't get this done and don't do the right thing, the city could take it all back. And that's in section 8.2. That was one of the reasons where I may not have agreed with all the way that this project came about and how all the complexities are. That was the one thing in these agreements that made me feel comfortable saying that, I'm pretty sure this project's going to be completed. And
Thank you. That's time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Christy, for the deep dive, and I'm thankful that Commissioner Segrich was able to read the email since he wasn't on the dais. I do want to point out, because we've had we've had the same public comment over and over and over again about a parking garage. And in the agreement dated February 5th, 2019, it states, whereas the City Commission held a public workshop on July 25th, 2017, which resulted in unanimous support for a downtown parking study and a downtown parking structure. So if we could, I don't know if we videotaped back then. Was that a thing? Was there YouTube? 2017, July 25th, 2017. Well, I don't know if we YouTubed and we put that. I don't know. Listen, when I came on, our minutes were detailed minutes. So we've really moved into the 19th century in this world. So I want people to hear that date. So here we are, and it is now February 18th or 17th in 2026. Almost 9 years later, from a public workshop to people saying, yes, we want a downtown parking structure, to bringing something to fruition. And as somebody who has had a business downtown, you need feet on the ground to support the businesses. And that's what this is about. And there's the date. We did do, the city, I won't say we because we weren't up here, but the city did hold a public workshop, July 25th, 2017. And it's in black and white. It was unanimous support for a parking structure downtown. That's really the last time I want to have this conversation, because we keep going backwards, and staff is doing a great job in responding to emails. We all have our own specialties when it comes to doing deep dives and pulling out information. And I think that we're working really well together when it comes to being fiduciary responsible and knowing that this project is the right project to do at the right time. I do have something to say on the next item in regards to possible funding that may be available to us through an email that I sent to County Commissioner Greg Weiss and his team. And there's another opportunity out there for us to possibly be able to put money in and tie this to downtown development and job creation. And even if we get $500,000, it's something that we can go after. So it's not end all be all that we're going to be out of pocket paying for all this. There are going to be opportunities, shovel ready, as the government likes to hear. When we have shovel ready and we're ready to go, we can start putting in for more funding requests through Lois Frankel's office, through the CRA, through the county. There's opportunities that I know that I'm not going to slow down on. And every time I find out, I'm going to send it to staff and be like, we need to apply for this. And we need to stay on top of staff, because right now we don't have a grant writer and staff is overwhelmed. So I commit to doing my due diligence to help find funding, and not a philanthropist that'll write a check, but find funding that will help the city create more jobs, create more people downtown, and offset, because this is what economic development is. I was in Detroit during Christmas, and the Ford family took on Michigan Central Station, which was a train station that had been closed for a very long time. And they got a lot of backlash from 25 people who kept saying, knock it down, sell the land, put something else there. And when I walk through, it's free to just go through the train station. I walk through and I seen the impact, and I'll share this with staff so they can have it as backup. But the money that was put into this to bring pride to the city again, and to bring live arts and live music. And when we walked through at Christmas, there were DJs set up, there were artists, and it was a real community hub. And this is thinking outside the box of a depleted train station that was derelict, that people used to drive by. It was sad. As you enter downtown Detroit, this was the first thing you saw coming from the airport. And now it's this bright beacon of hope. And it takes somebody in a city sometimes to put their neck out and say, I think this is going to be what's going to catapult the city into the next level. And I feel that WMOTA, the parking garage, I'm not interested in us bringing on any, I've said this before, any more projects, because I know it's going to have an impact to our downtown. But I believe wholeheartedly that it's going to be a positive impact. It's not like we're putting in, don't kill me, but Trader Joe's. I mean, this is going to be a positive impact for our city, and I still stand behind it. But for those who said we have not had public input, the public spoke. And unfortunately, government moves very slow, because they spoke in 2017, and here we are.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. McBoy, I see your light's on. I don't know how much time you have left, but go ahead. I'm sure the clerk will tell her.
Minute 9 seconds.
Talk fast.
I'm just pointing out, reading from the interlocal agreement, which says, if this agreement is terminated after the city parcels are purchased, the CRA shall transfer the city parcels to the city for ownership and transfer any unremaining transferred funds back to the city. But that seems pretty clear to me.
Thank you. Okey doke. Anthony?
The city agreements aren't terminated. We've already validated that.
Thank you. All right, so do we?
Motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Wait, I have a public comment.
Oh, do I have any public comment on this one? Thank you. Okay, Todd. Yeah, Todd Townsend, followed by Ms. Kohlmeyer, followed by somebody else who did not put their name. I think it's Ms. Powell and then Kim Stokes. I'll fill that in for you, Ms. Powell.
Just have a stamp.
Really? Okay, go ahead. Mr. Townsend?
Hi, Todd Townsend, 502 South J Street. I think the CRA should refrain from this and all businesses. They are about to be sunsetted and fired. look at what they've done. The $1.2 million purchase right behind us here sold for $300,000. Crazy giveaway to Wamota for a downtown high rise. Yet we need all this money for, but it is funny, isn't it? It is. Why don't I just jump ahead to the very last thing I wanted to say? As you walk around downtown, our friends, the CRA, has gone around with these templates all over the sidewalk. There's like 20 of them. There's one right over here. They did a template and they lay it out and then they power wash over it. So you've got Deco Green advertisement, rental advertisements all over the city. Yeah, well, it's their project, isn't it? They just cut it out, put it on the ground, power wash it, and now you've got written advertisements all over the city. So that's all I'm going to say tonight. Thank you.
Ms. Powell, followed by Ms. Stokes, followed by Ms. Colmeyer.
And if Deco Green did do that, I expect code enforcement to go after them.
Okay, so let's go get code. They did. So
Jenny Powell, 224 North Palmway. This is like going back to 2018, 2019, and the interlocal agreements that talked about the surtax. And all of this that's happened since, Subimoda, it's all very complicated. And I've tried to follow it as best I can. But it does sound to me that it was pretty clear. And I did go back and read the criteria or the statute regarding the penny surtax money, and that had to be used for specific things, and that was infrastructure. And apparently we have these interlocal agreements that did say that would be for surface parking. And it also seems clear that if that is not done, that the parcels revert back to the city and then would have to be voted on if it was what would happen to that property if it was to be leased or sold. So that's my best understanding. I feel like that the properties come back to the city and then it's up for a public vote. Not unlike these charter amendments that are coming up for a vote. So that's about all I'm going to say. I fear that, I'm not sure anybody, no, I won't say anybody. The attorney seemed to explain it pretty well, but it just seems like it's very complicated. I hope you all understand it, but I have concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Kim Stokes, followed by Ms. Colmeyer.
Kim Stokes, 1321 North L Street. The interlocal agreements at issue are not ordinary commercial contracts. They govern the expenditure of restricted public tax revenues, specifically infrastructure surtax funds authorized by state statute and approved by voters. First, the state statute 212.055 strictly limits how surtax funds may be used. Those statutory constraints are mandatory. They cannot be waived, rewritten, or expanded by amendment between the city and the CRA. A contractual modification cannot authorize what the legislator and the electorate did not. Second, the 2016 ballot language is controlling. Voters approved a tax for infrastructure and government facilities. The ILAs implemented that mandate by requiring the funds to be strictly utilized for parcel acquisition and public surface parking. That was not incidental language. It was the core condition of the transfer. Third, the ILAs contain an express remedy. If the obligations were not achieved, the parcels must be returned to the city. The agreements do not contain any provision allowing amendment as a substitute cure mechanism. Where a contract specifies a remedy, the remedy governs. Fourth, the record reflects that the required surface parking was never constructed. That constitutes a default under the ILAs. A later amendment attempting to deem the agreement satisfied is in effect an attempt to retroactively erase a breach. Florida does not favor post hoc revisions that extinguish vested contractual protections, particularly where public funds are involved. Fifth, the proposed amendment removes the ILA's most critical safeguard, the mandatory reversionary clause. In its place is a discretionary promise to merely discuss and develop a resolution. That is not enforcement mechanism. It is the elimination of one. Finally, under Dickinson versus Stone, appropriated public money must be used solely for the purpose for which it was raised. A subsequent amendment cannot cleanse or legitimize expenditures that were inconsistent with those restrictions at the time they occurred. For these reasons, the ILAs cannot be amended to retroactively validate non-compliance, eliminate mandatory remedies, or expand permitted uses of restricted surtax funds. Respectfully, the amendment should be denied.
Thank you. Ms. Colmeyer?
First Avenue South, Catherine Colmeyer. Commissioner Malega mentioned a public workshop that happened July 25th, 2017. I'm going to mention a public workshop / charrette that happened in 2022, where it was unanimously agreed and presented here by Treasure Coast. I can't remember. Thank you, Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council, that the people living here favoured low-rise development, did not want a massive development on L&M Street. And that has been, and that an RFP would be put out. The RFP never got published because W Moda came along and somebody thought, oh, and was happy to disregard that public charrette. And that went on for a whole week. That was not just like a little workshop. Okay. It's my understanding, listening to the attorney, I got a few mixed messages. Somehow they forgot to address the surtax issue. I mean, that's a little bit strange. There are these ILAs, a surtax, it's all kind of serious stuff, but somehow it forgot to be addressed. These ILAs should have been revised before the CRA made an agreement and the city made an agreement with W Moda to give / sell the land for $10 to them, which is conditional on them completing all their building. So has not been transferred yet, but it's an agreement. And I remember when those agreements were made one by one by one. Oh, well, nothing's final yet. It was final. You had all decided. And just one last thing. In 2018, when residents got a notice that they were going to demolish some of the historic houses for surface parking, which is this L&M Street parcel, I went over to a commissioner at the time and I said, why are you demolishing historic houses to put surface parking in? And he said to me, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, it's not really surface parking. That's just what we're saying for the moment. Now, this is hearsay, but it happened and I have a witness. Thank you.
Okay, do I have a motion? Oh, no, do you have any public comment, Ms.
I have one comment, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Oh, yeah, I read it.
Jordan Snyder Esquire, 61 Northeast 1st Street, Pompano Beach. Dear City Commissioners, on behalf of our client, Lake Worth for All, Inc., a Florida nonprofit corporation, please kindly accept these comments to the City of Lake Worth Beach Board of City Commissioners and include them in the public record for the upcoming February 5th, 2026 meeting regarding the following Agenda Item D, Interlocal Agreement and First Amendment with the Lake Worth Beach CRA for the transfer and lease of property. Lake Worth for All respectfully requests that the Board of City Commissioners deny the proposed amendment. Lake Worth for All is a Florida nonprofit, citizen-led organization comprised of residents of Lake Worth, Florida, which advocates against the procedure, process, and subsequent approvals in regard to the city's and Lake Worth Community Redevelopment Agency's actions to dispose of some of the parcels identified within the interlocal agreements and the final disposition of those lands. In November 2016, the voters in Palm Beach County approved an infrastructure surtax intended to fund infrastructure projects for the county, municipalities, and the school district authorized under Section 212.055, parens 2, Florida statutes. The proceeds of the surtax were specifically restricted by the November 2016 ballot language as follows: Palm Beach County District Schools, Cities, and County Government Infrastructure 1 cent sales surtax to enhance education by improving district-owned school buildings, equipment, technology, and security, purchase school buses, public safety vehicles, and equipment, and equip, construct, and repair roads, bridges, signals, streetlights, sidewalks, parks, drainage, shoreline, and wastewater infrastructure. That's all. That's 2 minutes for that comment. That's all the comments I have for this evening, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. May I have a motion?
Can I just?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I haven't
Please go on.
commented. I just have a
Ms. May.
question for the city attorney and then I will make a motion. Are we in receipt of any lawsuits regarding any of this?
We have not been officially served with a lawsuit.
Thank you. I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ms. May, second by Ms. Malega. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any
Nay.
opposed? Mr. Aye?
Aye.
Okay. Mr.
Mr.
McBoy
Aye.
dissents. Thank you. Next up is Resolution 3-2026, approving the Lake Worth Beach Sierra issuance of 3.5 million capital improvement revenue note, Series 2025, to partially fund the development of the South K Street parking garage. Who's going to make a
Motion to approve.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, are there any public comments, Mr. Brown? One? I think Todd was looking at, he might be out. Mr. Townsend? Todd Townsend, calling Townsend? Calling once? He left, I think. Okay. So, Madam Clerk, do you have any comments on this item?
No, I have no more comments, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do I have a motion?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh,
But you can go ahead and move forward. I was just going to mention this, as the city attorney mentioned the last item, this is a companion item to the last item. And again, we have the executive director, Jonah Leva, sitting in the back. If you guys have any
doing a
questions.
fine job of it, I must say. Okay, so we have a motion, a second, all in favor?
aye.
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 So
We have a quorum, we have 3-1. Okay. Unless she wants to. Ms. May, do you want to vote on this issue?
she went back.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second, and it is approved 3-1. Mr. McBoy dissenting. Thank you very much. That concludes the work of the day. Commission comments. Let's start. Oh, let's mix it up a little bit. Let's start with Mr. McBoy. Yeah, let's go. I know he likes.
How long have I found that thing? 3 minutes, 5 minutes?
Yeah. Yeah, it's 9:33, so let's keep it to. Yeah, 15, 20, 25. Yeah, let's keep it to 3 minutes because we have a comment from the manager and attorney as well. So Madam Clerk, can you do 3 minutes, please?
I can, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr.
Okay.
McBoy.
Yep. One, we have had public comments from some commissioners indicating the city finances are a dumpster fire. We're in dire need. That's been made by others apparently also. And for that reason, we should vote for Amendment 2 and 3, that public-private partnerships will fix all our problems. I did check with our finance director, and a public comment already reported that our credit ratings are pretty good. I also asked just more qualitatively, where do we fall on a scale of 1 to 5? And we were at the top end of that scale. So I think it's unfortunate that there's a bit of fear mongering going on that we should vote for certain things by misrepresenting what our finances are. I do trust that the new topic, I do trust that the commission has received and reviewed the agenda that was requested by my colleagues for a special meeting. And I would point out that it's often been discussed here that we have to follow the law, and that folks who are dealing with immigration should do it the legal way. It's worth being aware for us here that the illegal way is through USCIS, U.S. Citizen and Immigration Services. The current federal administration has cut or chased out 1,800 officials out of that, and a comment from some senior official who used to be there pointed out that it's turning it into a system to keep people out. That used to be the legal process that you applied for a green card, that you applied for naturalization. I'm sure members of the dais are aware that people have gone for their naturalization services where you swore to that, and they've been shut down or arrested at the process. So be aware of that context as you consider the thing. Finally, yesterday, today's Monday, today's Tuesday, yesterday, I was told that there was going to be a protest by students by the Lake Worth High School. And so I thought, well, let me come down and show support for that, because I am very aware of the intense fear in the community, harm to the community for people who are not in any way, shape, or form serious or violent criminals. Families where one another parent is being sent back to other countries. Due process is not being held. Access to attorneys is not being followed. It was very moving to see, and somebody reported, I think it was an estimate from PBSO, I don't know how to estimate that, but that there were 400 kids here. The energy of those kids of ICE out. And they're not doing it just because they got nothing better to do to protest. I've never seen a protest from Lake Worth High School students, but they
Thank
are
you, that's time.
these things firsthand, and I hope that we as a commission can hear them.
Thank you, Mr. Rufoy. We're going to go to 3 now.
Okay, I apologize for stepping out. I'm assuming we're doing commission comments.
Yes, we are.
Okay. So I just have a couple things that are rather kind of light. Just I want to remind people that on Friday night, there is the Great Taste of Lake Worth Beach. There are tickets at Tacky Tourist, as well as Pause on the Avenue, as well as on Eventbrite. Saturday and Sunday is obviously the Street Painting Festival, and there is free parking at Palm Beach State College. There's a shuttle that goes back and forth from Palm Beach State. There's also $5 Tri-Rail rides from anywhere the Tri-Rail runs. So, and then there's going to be a free shuttle from Tri-Rail into downtown. There are advertisements in all the Tri-Rail stations advertising the event. So I think that's going to be amazing. So I'm excited for that for this weekend. The other thing let's see, I've gone to a couple of neighborhood meetings lately. I'm making sure that I'm making the rounds. I did Sunset Ridge last night. I was invited to. I'm invited to Mango tomorrow. And next month on the 2nd, I'm going to go to College Park, and I'll probably walk across the street to downtown Jewel if they would have me. Well, I know you'll consider it. And, you know, as far as the trees, I have to admit, it was kind of funny that people decorated them like Christmas trees. That's pretty funny. However, it is a serious issue. And although I didn't agree with Commissioner Segridge to talk about it this evening or vote on anything this evening, I do think that obviously we have street painting this weekend, and I want them to do whatever you need to do to the trees to make them look good for this weekend. And then we can consider it afterward. I'm not taking that completely off the table, but we literally have our biggest event where our city needs to shine, because we are such a wonderful city. We want the student artists, the 800 different artists that are coming from 17 different states. We have 55 schools represented. We have over 60 featured artists. That's what we should be focusing on. And honestly, if people on Facebook are bitching about trees, we're doing okay.
Yeah, really.
Yes. So I know that there's a lot of issues, but you know what? In the grand scheme of things, we live in the best city in Palm Beach County. And that's what I want to just keep reminding all of us, because sometimes I know I can't see the forest through the trees, or in this case, the beach, the beach through the BS, you know, and I just want to remind myself, you, all of us, that, you know, we're all up here doing our best, and we're really trying to do what's right for the city based on the feedback that we're getting from constituents. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Segridge.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So we had a lot of very cool events go on lately. We had the Sunset on the Ave. We had a great turnout there. It was great to see the high school band, the marching band. They did amazing. And then follow them down to the Mardi Gras block party on J Street. So just an amazing time downtown. The day before, we had a charity event for our schools dealing with the arts and music. And according to the event organizers, they have already beat their last year's numbers. And that's going to be a big win for our schools. And it's great to see, the people of Lake Worth coming together to help our schools in such a dramatic way. We will be coming before us the school grant program. And that's going to be coming before us in a meeting probably in March. This was the $75,000 that was set aside. And I worked with the staff on getting a framework of a program for you guys to consider. And so I look forward to doing that, kind of keeping on the theme of let's help our schools. And the timing couldn't be better because they need it for next year. February 25th at the casino complex, I will be having yet another town hall from 6 to 9. I encourage anyone that wants to attend. We cover all topics from update on the city through anything people want to discuss through the referendums. And I guess you can come and see my infamous dumpster fire slide for yourself of the numbers on it, which did come from our finance department. So I'm more than happy to talk about that, debate it, and discuss and have a good conversation. I will say, I really want to thank the people that did come out to all of those town halls, because we had great discussion, good decorum, disagreement, cross debate and talking amongst residents. And, people left a lot more educated and formulating their own opinions. And we didn't always agree, but it was truly a community coming together and having a good conversation. So that's the last one I'm going to be doing. I will be at the Bryant Park Neighborhood Association meeting coming up. And then very quickly, we didn't really do it officially. So could we have consensus to discuss the tree issue at a future meeting, after street painting? Yes. Okay. Yep. And
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I need the full consensus vote.
Consent, yes.
Consent.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're up. Okay, Ms. Malika.
Thank you. So this is legislative time, and I live in a different world where I'm not really, I care about the trees, but I care about the trees over here. And back to the dumpster fire. We're not a dumpster fire right now, but if the people in Tallahassee continue these bill passings, we will be a dumpster fire. So I kind of said this to Mr. Perry and Mr. Brown today when they were asking me about something else. I said, I'm sorry, you're going to have to wait until legislation's over for me to really care about or want to have a conversation on the minutia things, right? So just for people who are listening, House Bill 103 and Senate Bill 122 is the local business bill. And it is moving quick, meaning we will no longer be able to collect business tax money for our city. There goes our revenue. House Bill 145 is the sovereign immunity bill, which means when we get sued, how much somebody can sue us for per incident and per person is moving. It's now in the Senate. It passed full House yesterday. Senate Bill 1566 is the utility bill. And there was an amendment that was slid in.
Yeah.
And I called Director Liberty last week and said, did you see the amendment? And he said, what amendment? And when I sent him an email, he pulled up the amendment and I said, as you guys being FMEA and FMPA, where do you stand? And he said, let me get back to you. He sent me an email back and they are now fighting this amendment. So the original bill language had stated that all enterprise funds from utilities and municipalities would be capped at a 10% transfer to general fund, which was fine because we have a financial policy. We are financially responsible and we're at 8. They slid in an amendment at the last minute. 0 caps.
None.
0, 0, 0, meaning $14 million of enterprise fund transfers that help HR, that help IT, that help recoup those costs to run the city could be wiped away. And the worst part is they don't even want to phase this in. So talk to cities about going backwards and looking at a budget that you passed in September that now you don't get to transfer those funds. So pardon me when I'm not sitting here trying to take on other issues, when I'm really concerned about the financial future of this city. And while, yes, I did announce that I have 1 year left, I will give this city everything I have for the next year. Because to me, this is what I should be spending my time doing and fighting. And I'm thanking Yannick and Monica, because every time I ask them for data, they give it to me. I then get on the phone and I talk to Senator Bernard, Representative Ann Gerwig, the people up in Tallahassee who are making the votes, who may not just they don't represent our city, but they hold the vote. So I might not be in the front of TV cameras taking on national things because I care about what's happening in the city and our finances right now. If even 2 of these bills partially pass, we have a major, major financial problem. And then I will say that we're dumpster fire. Right now, we're not. I looked at things through pretty lenses, right? And to me, we're going to keep fighting, just like we fought to keep the CRAs, because the CRAs in our city do good work. And I'm not going to stop until I have exhausted all efforts and all contacts and all votes on getting. And now that the FMEA and FMPA, they're fighting this, right? The league is fighting this. We're doing the best that we can, but keeping up with the legislature right now is exhausting. It is literally consuming. I had 2 calls Monday back to back, 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock. And there's bad DEI bills that are coming down that could affect how we do things in this city. And Christy's shaking her head because I mean, it's horrible. It's horrible what's
I'm
happening.
sorry, Vice Mayor, but that's time.
Okay, I'm just going to ask for one more thing. On a brighter note, the chili cook-offs were amazing for Columbus. What a great and for College Park. My stomach hurt at the end of Sunday because of all the chili. And I do not condone the children climbing on our city marquee. I do condone and I support them coming out and protesting. I did send the picture to the principal and asked her, and I CC'd all of you on it.
Yeah, she responded.
There was also tossing of bottles at cars, water bottles.
Well, we'll have to, that's for the school, Julie. Okay, so all right, so me, real quickly. Okay, on February 28th at 10:30 at City Hall, there was a historic tour done a couple of weeks ago, and it was so successful that they're having another one. So it starts at 10:30 at City Hall on the 28th of February. Oh, I wish I could read my own writing. As far as the trees, I think we were all a little surprised when they were planted and they look more like shrubs than trees, but we're going to deal with that as best we can. I don't know what we're going to do. Another nightmare coming out of Tallahassee is the elimination of property taxes. It phases out non-school homestead property taxes over 10 years. Every year, an additional $100,000 exemption. After 10 years, all non-school property taxes would be eliminated. So they want to take away our business tax. They want to take away our, what was the other one? The enterprise franchise, and they want to take away our property taxes. Bottom line is the legislature wants us to go away and have 39 counties rather than 200 cities. It's really, it's insane. The gentleman came up early about the beach, and it would be really nice if there was sort of a volunteer group that didn't just do like a beach cleanup twice a year, but maybe we could get together a group of people that just commit themselves to going out to the beach and with the buckets. We got the buckets. Yeah, I know. I don't know if they're working or not. Let's see. Tour. Yeah. Mr. McCoy, it occurs to me that if you're watching me and taking pictures of me, you're not paying attention either. But that's just, I just got to point that out. And I also want to point out that please be assured, Mr. McCoy, that you are not alone in your concern for the folks and what's going on. You make it sound like you're the only one interested in good governance. You make it sound like you're the only one interested in what's going on with our kids and our families in town. Be assured, every one of us is concerned. Thank you, Mr. We don't proselytize about it. We do it behind the scenes. Mr. Brown.
Just 2 quick things. We obviously have a budget. It's not really a budget workshop, but it's set for Thursday, the 26th, next week. And that's really to go, we've already had our staff kickoff for this budget session, but this is more for all of you. So staff can get an idea of process and priorities and how you guys want the actual process to roll out this year. That way we're all on the same. Yeah. So we're all on the same page. And then December 8th, I'd mentioned it before.
December 8th?
Back on December 8th.
Oh, okay. That's planning ahead.
I'm mentioning a meeting we're going to have on December 8th. So, no, this past December 8th, the Central County Alliance, we had a meeting with the superintendent, Michael Burke, and some of his staff, basically to discuss the the concern that we all have as far as the ranking in the grades for our schools. So what the Alliance did, we put together a letter that all the mayors, we've got City of Atlantis, City of Green Acres, Town of Haverhill, Lake Clark Shores, Lantana, Palm Springs, us, and the mayor signed today. All the mayors signed this letter, and that was sent to Superintendent Burke. So we'll kind of keep you updated on what goes on with that. But I'm going to send you guys all a copy of the letter and some other information as well. But you know, there is a massive concern, obviously, for schools in our central county area, and everything that kind of comes along with that, because that affects obviously budget, income, families who want to move. You know, that's one of the first things that they look at, or how are the schools in the area. So I'll keep you guys updated on that. But that's all I have. Yep.
I forgot one thing. It's been asked, I hate to say this in public because you kind of want to be, Mary Lindsay is retiring from the Little Free Libraries and looking for, you know, support. And I would like to have a resolution or a proclamation in her regard, whether it's the next meeting or the meeting after, thanking her for the contributions that she's done. Any problem with that? Okay.
Consent.
Thank you. Okay. Miss.
Clarifying from the city manager. Is that February 26th meeting?
I'm sorry, Commissioner, can you speak into your mic?
The February 26th, that's a Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. Is that, because I don't see it on my calendar.
Melissa, was that sent out?
I'm giving.
It was, and Shona was going to add everything to the calendars. I sent her an updated agenda list.
It's a regular
I
meeting.
saw it was not on the calendars.
What day?
I cannot be there. I'm scheduled for a presentation, giving a presentation that night.
It's not on my calendar either.
Okay, we'll follow up on that because I know that they looked good.
Yeah, they did. They did. She asked everyone for their available dates.
So we can look at it again, but I know that was one of the things we did definitely do to make sure that everyone was available. So it's 6 and it starts at 6. I don't know what the end time we put on that one. It starts at 6.
We generally don't. Madam Attorney.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm going to request for a closed executive session at this time. The city attorney desires advice from the commission concerning pending litigation, specifically regarding settlement negotiations and strategy related to litigation expenditures in the case of the city of Lake Worth Beach versus NS1 LLC in the city of Delray Beach, case number 50-2024 CA 003595XXXA and B, and is requesting an attorney-client session to be scheduled for March 3rd, 2026 at 5 p.m. The estimated length of the attorney-client session will be approximately 45 minutes. The session will be attended by the members of the City Commission, Mayor Betty Resch, Vice Mayor Sarah Malega, Commissioners Krista McVoy, Mimi May, and Anthony Segrich, Interim City Manager Jamie Brown, City Attorney Glenn J. Torsivia and/or Elizabeth Linehan, and outside counsel Owen Schultz. A certified court reporter will also be present. To ensure that this session is fully transcribed and the transcript will be made public upon the conclusion of the above cited ongoing litigation.
Thank you.
I have a question. I will be Zooming the meeting that night, so can I call in for the shade session?
I believe we've done that in the past, but let me
I think we
just.
did that with Mr. McVoy one time.
Yeah, I believe we have done that
We
in the
did.
past. But let me just check with Glenn and Elizabeth who are conducting it to make sure that they're fine.
Thank you.
So you're not going to be here on March 3rd?
I have to be in this year.
Okay, one more thing. The Business Advisory Board is meeting on Thursday. Just want to put that out there at at Irish. No, where?
I believe that is at the library.
Library.
The
That's
meeting in the library.
the real library, the city library. And what time is that? Is it 6?
I believe that's 6:30.
6:30. Okay, 6:30 Thursday, Business Advisory Board. I've invited a few people to come. And with that, I would entertain a motion to just go home. Motion?
Motion to
Adjourn. I know we can.
Adjourn.
Second?
Second.
By Mr. McVoy. All in favor? Aye. Thank you
Aye.
very